Hey, hello. Hello, I'm looking for my wife. She's missing. Can you help me find her? She left me this letter. We can all agree that James Sunderland is a wife guy, right? Like, he's 100% dude being like, oh, my wife. Maria's dead. I couldn't protect her. Once again, I couldn't do anything to help. Are you really waiting somewhere for me? Or is this your way of taking revenge? It's the only thing I have left to hope for. Is today the day? I would hope so. I am sitting in the voice chat in the Discord. If the people on the Discord would like to join me. I'm gonna have to switch to the other controller. Because I really don't want to. Oh, do I just have to go down? Hello.
Hi. So
How are
one of
you
the
today?
funnest things in a long time has happened to me.
Oh.
A Final Fantasy XI fan found my archive that played the game with M and Gino that you watched when we fell through the pit in the cave.
Oh.
And he basically commented that I misrepresented the game, that I should be ashamed of myself. I'm gonna read this comment. It's fucking amazing.
Please read it aloud.
This is fucking... I saw this with my mouth agape. Did not think... This would... I'm waiting for the Draken Defender. So their first comment is, WoW sucked. Why do you keep comparing this game to WoW? Cool. Dude just made a video of him playing a game he wanted to trash talk about, played this gobbledygook for 13 years and loved it, dick. The interface you are talking smack about is also old as hell and was way before WoW, which is crap, was
Oh.
even and wore diapers and shit itself every day while people were playing it. This is a classic, and your objective outlook on this game is trash because you are a spoiled baby that has had everything handed to you. It's old, get over it. It's still way better than WoW, LMAOA.
This is why I'm glad no one ever comments on my video archives.
Except the spam bots.
Except the spam bots.
Anyways, don't stream MMORPGs.
Oh no, I'm way ahead of you on that one. I can't think of a less pleasant time as someone who played WoW for 2 hours in like 2008.
Yeah. So, that happened. Cannot, as I like to say, unhappen. Reality that I'm now faced with every waking hour of my life. But,
I just love that the man went out of his way to watch your stream,
he watched the stream, and
archive, and
not
then
only
was
that, he watched it. It
indignant.
appears if he formed an opinion to where he knows that I was making fun of the interface, he knows that, like, he watched a significant amount of it,
Yes.
which is weird. I don't know. You think I'm misrepresenting the game? Stop watching? Dude.
You're not playing it right.
Yeah, but dog, you gave me a view.
And yeah, once again, to be clear, I think your thesis of, hey, guess what? Final Fantasy XI is a product of its time is
Thought
entirely
that I
fair.
communicated that thesis pretty well.
Yeah, I like it.
Other than the fact that I openly antagonize Final Fantasy XI fans to, like, explain why this game is still worth playing. That I maybe went a little
It's
too
old.
far
Get
on.
over it, you WoW baby. Dude,
He
WoW
literally
is
calls me a WoW baby, and I
WoW
don't
is
at any
only
point
2 years
say-
younger than Final Fantasy XI.
Also, I don't like World of Warcraft.
Also, I don't like MMOs.
Yeah, fuck dog. What are we even doing anymore?
Picking up shotgun shells in the dark. That's the title of my new album.
Is this what they mean when they say post-truth world?
I do love that your objective, the little thing of your objective assertion of this is crap. It's like, you don't know what objective means,
Oh.
you little shit.
I'm not
And
going
once
to respond to
again-
it. I think I'm going to delete it, but I'm not going to respond to it. He also edited his comment so is that he fixed some of the typos, but he didn't fix all of them, which I think is hilarious.
Do not deign to respond.
I also want to point out, like, the first comment is someone's like, I played Final Fantasy XI for over 15 years. I thought this was hilarious. You played it slightly wrong. Here's my advice. Here's my tooltip. Here's the mod to add HD textures. And I had to, like, say, hey, buddy, I'm not, but I do appreciate the comment.
This reminds me of when I was playing Sacred, and a guy came into my stream and was very, like, kindly and enthusiastically being like, okay, you gotta use DG Voodoo, because this was early on before I had really figured out the magic of PC Gaming Wiki.
Yeah.
And I just felt bad, because I'm like, I'm having a miserable time. This is like, I am literally just clicking on these enemies with one spell that has a charge speed, so it's literally just me waiting for this one fireball spell to recharge because it's a low level clicky click loot game.
Yep.
And it's just like I do like when random people pop in and like, wow, you're playing this piece of garbage? And I'm like, thank you, person who
Cares this much about me.
cares about me.
Really care.
Thank you for telling me that, or perhaps you're a fool. Truth usually betrays people. Part of that abyss in the old society. The key to society is in the park, at the foot of the praying woman, inside of the ground, inside of a box. To open it, I need a wrench. Patient buried it there. Have such a thing near. I was looking for the truth. I was looking for tranquility. I also saw that thing. I fled. The museum is... If you still do not wish to stop, James, I pray to the Lord to have mercy on your eternal soul. Just... I appreciate when people are like, yeah, Lands of Lore 3, huh? That game was a buggy mess. And I'm like, yep, sure is. Lands of Lore 3 might be like a pick as far as like weird offbeat RPGs.
Yeah.
That game is bizarre. And this is something I constantly like to stress when I talk about those games. It's just like, Westwood was a very...
diverse.
They made a lot of different kinds of games.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a game that I played of Westwood that was not a turn-based strategy.
They made Legend of Corandia, those point-and-click adventure games. They made Nox, which...
yeah, they did make Nox. They made Eye of the Beholder.
Yes. They made Dune 2, the game that created the RTS genre, basically.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. I kind of forget that there was that weird Virgin Games era where they only made D&D games.
Yep. And then they made Lands of Lore, which is basically the real Eye of Beholder 3.
Yeah. The numbering for Lands of Lore is fucked.
There's 3 of them. There's Lands of Lore, Throne of Chaos, Lands of Lore, Guardians of Destiny, and Lands of Lore 3.
They also made an MMORPG that killed the entire studio.
Oh, that's right.
Earth and Beyond.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That was released the same year of Asheron's Call 2, and Asheron's Call 2 just completely annihilated them.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I'm gonna delete this comment. I'm gonna let it sit there for maybe one more day. But yeah. Yeah, they did make a turn-based version of BattleTech. Although, I have to imagine that, I have friends who speak highly of Dragon Strike. We honestly need to get back to the, one of the early questions that we were always tackling with is how far back in time can we actually go
to find something that's playable
yeah,
or like a good time?
It reminds me of Top Gear's episode where it's like, what's the oldest thing we can actually find that's called a car, that's technically a car, but still functions like a modern car? So they went to the Model T and it's like, I have to use a hand crank, and there's this, and then I have to push in a dial-a-code number. It's like, this is a car, but it's not a car.
It is not.
How far back can we go?
Okay, you
And
want
I
my
think the number, I think that number is different for CRPGs and JRPGs, because like Dragon Quest 1 is literally we can go back to and say, we're having mostly a good time.
yeah.
I wonder how far back we need. I wonder how far back we need to go for CRPGs.
I think to some extent, I think like Wizardry 1 and Ultima 1 are simple enough that they are probably more playable than some of the later games from those series.
But I think I go back to, I think the answer is maybe Might and Magic 3.
Yeah, Might and Magic 3 is like 1990. It's the first one with VGA
Terra.
graphics and I believe
Looks
mouse
good,
control.
it plays good. It's not something, well, you still kind of need to like bang your head on the wall. And I remember Valorian said, Might and Magic 2 is not that hard. It's like, there's some janky ass.
There's some stuff in
shit.
Might and Magic 2 that is definitely janky as shit. But I do think Might and Magic 2 is also like...
Might and Magic 2 also has that kind of like Monty Hall Monster Mash style campaign.
Yeah.
That dungeon crawl campaign that just I fucking hate.
But Might and Magic is also like very much... Those games were open in a way that Wizardry was not. Even from the first game. Which is a problem when you realize that, like, a lot of Might and Magic 1 is filled with intentional red herrings. Like, they straight up tell you false information.
Yeah. And then eventually, if we play the old school dungeon crawlers, we have to play maybe a Monogatari game, and then we get to play a cutesy anime version of a dungeon crawler.
You get to play all the surprisingly prevalent subgenre of PC-88 dungeon crawlers that are also games with naked anime ladies in them.
No, oh yeah.
As we all know, the Hardcore Gaming 101 staple.
Monogatari is... What if Sailor Moon was a dungeon crawler?
Yep. I think we might need to check out the Dark Heart of U Krull.
Oh God! Wow, we're really going back.
That's like
I draw the line at all of. So,
where is your line?
My line would be like 2600 fucking games, like those old school Atari 2600 or like fucking maze games on like ColecoVision shit, where it's like literally I'm controlling this little blurb.
You don't want to play Advanced Dungeons and Dragons for the Intellivision?
No. You know what? I might actually. You might be able to convince me to do that.
Sadly, that is not in those 8 million Intellivision.
I wonder... I have a 5200 emulator on my version of RetroArch.
I literally know nothing about the Atari 5200 or 7800.
Now, the Atari Jaguar, go fuck yourself.
The Atari Jaguar doesn't even have any weird, dubious RPGs we can talk about, I don't think. The 3DO does. The 3DO has multiple bad D&D action RPGs.
Yeah, it's just, when I have to look at abstract shapes and symbols to represent basic characters, I feel like I draw the line.
My brain doesn't work that way.
It's like, fucking, give me something. Give me something.
Pool of Radiance is actually, like, surprisingly ahead of the time in terms of, like, you can customize your little stick figures with a couple different fun hats, but I can't imagine having a good time playing that game, at least not without the Gold Box Companion, which is the fan mod that lets you do things like immediately heal your party and remove multi-classing restrictions for demi-humans, so you can actually
Well,
bring characters who are not humans into the later games.
do you think you could pick Lands of Lore 3 for a Kusoge episode? I was just thinking about
That
it.
game is jank. That game is very jank. I don't know if it's, like, dog shit. Like,
I'm just looking over this list of Westwood Games stuff, and
I think this
it's
is
like, yeah, dude. I mean, we had a rough go at Ultima 4. It's like, do we really want to spend time on Atari ST shit? Maybe we
No.
might have to. We might have to. Like DOS stuff, MS-DOS is where I would say the
Yeah.
line. You can still put that there.
There are
Like
definitely
once
some.
we're doing like
We should
Commodore
play
64
the original
stuff, it's
Dungeon
like,
Master.
Oh God, I wanna die.
That is my.
Like when PC games had to be played with like paddles and like actual controller sticks rather than the keyboards because the keyboard wasn't designed to do that shit. Like that's no. I insist no.
We should play the
God,
original Dungeon Master.
They did make a ton. They did make a tactical role-playing TurboGrafx 16 Dungeons and Dragon game, Order of the Griffin.
That's right. I'm to understand that game is not very good,
No.
but it takes place in I believe it is Mystara. So you know.
Yeah. That was the weird thing is like all of the Westwood game stuff was either Mystara or Hollow Earth.
I think.
Like they did that.
Where's
Warriors of the
Mithranor?
Eternal Sun. Huh? The Warriors of the Eternal Sun was Hollow Earth
Okay.
or Hollow World.
I'm trying to remember where Pool of Radiance takes place, and if that's Greyhawk or Forgotten Realms.
Pool of Radiance. I feel like Pool of Radiance is also like the normie pick of that's my favorite old school CRPG.
I respect Pool of Radiance. I just don't know if I'd have like there are just things about that game's basic usability that drive me insane.
Blah, blah, blah. It's Forgotten Realms.
Okay.
Pool of Radiance is Forgotten Realms. And remember when the different fantasy settings actually meant a thing in old school D&D? Like they experimented with different genres with each of the campaigns.
I mean, yeah, Greyhawk is very much like pulp fantasy compared to Forgotten Realms being a little more like high fantasy Tolkien type stuff. And then Mystara Hollow Earth is like even more Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah. So you're horror gaming it.
Yeah, I figured I'd finish this given that I talked about it on a podcast that's coming up.
Oh. Datsu's saying, I learned yesterday that there was a Virtual Boy game that stars Jack Frost from the Shin Megami Tensei Persona game.
Yes, it is the rarest Virtual Boy game.
It's like
at least the
thousands of dollars.
NTSC version of that game, Jack Bros. I think Virtual Boy is, when it comes to my line for like, what's so weird.
Oh, no, I'm not playing a Virtual Boy game. Go fuck yourself.
Even with emulators, that just seem like there are ways to make Virtual Boy games less painful.
Remember when we were all talking about needing to wear sunglasses
Yeah.
while playing video games because it was fucking up your eyes back in the day? And the only reason why that rumor existed was because of the fucking Virtual Boy?
To their credit, yeah, there are Virtual Boy emulators that will let you pick a different color palette than Eye Bleeding Red.
Remember the Super Nintendo? You can play, if you put your Game Boy games into this slot, it'll allow you play your Game Boy games on your
Yes,
Super
the
Nintendo.
Super Game Boy.
Yeah, the Super Game Boy. And remember how you could change the color palette of Game Boy games and
Yep.
they all look like ass?
And except for the ones that had designated Super Game Boy support.
Yeah, that was something in hindsight. It's like, yeah, I get to play my Game Boy games and they're super pixelated and they look like shit. Like, so cool. This sold better than the Game Gear. Why?
Because you can play Donkey Kong 94 on a big screen. Because the alternative is using a original big boy Game Boy. Unless the Game Boy Pocket was already out. We actually had a Game Boy Pocket. Back in the day. So that's what I played Super Mario Super Mario Land 2 on.
Yeah.
Which I think I would be afraid to go back to that game specifically, because I bet those original Game Boy games probably. Are there any portable Game Boy games we would consider playing?
You know what I want to play when it comes to
Saga?
Game Boy game. Oh, why do you call it Saga? It's Final Fantasy Legends.
It's Saga
Final Fantasy Legend.
in the U.S. Still call it Final Fantasy 2, the one with Cecil.
We should play Final Fantasy Legend.
You still call it My Hero Academia instead of Boku no Hero Academia. You darn Anglo-Saxon.
I think so. Like I said, Quest for Glory is going to be my next pick.
Yeah.
For like a serious game that we complete all the way, and I think Quest for Glory we can definitely do in 2 episodes.
I also think the fun thing about Quest for Glory is we would each pick a different class.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm willing to play one of the shittier classes.
I played Thief when I played that game.
Oof, that's a rough time.
It's fun because there are definitely some puzzles where it's just like you sneak past everything, and then there are just parts where it's like, no, you basically need to do what the warrior does and just fight them.
Let's be honest, like Quest for Glory is designed in a way to where you could literally be anything and still get away with it. Fighter, magic user, or thief. I think that Jeff should definitely do fighter because it's probably the most straightforward and easiest. I'll be the magic user because it might be the hardest. Or actually, do you want to be the mage and then I can be the thief? We'll talk about it. But yeah, you're right. Quest for Glory is gonna be fun. Like, there are specifics, when you get to specific scenarios in, like, the Scum adventure game part, where it's like, the fighter should do this, the thief and mage should do this, the thief should do this, the mage and fighter should do this.
Where you are very much solving puzzles that are, adventure game puzzles, but you can do it, you have different approaches depending on what kind of character you're playing as. That's the thing about Quest for Glory that I actually really enjoyed.
And there's like that opening world in Spielberg. There's an entire area when you go back to the alley and like the thugs jump out at you. If you make the thief sign with those thugs, you get an entire area.
Yeah.
It's great. And then the magic user has their own secret area. The fighter has their own secret area. There's that scene with the Baba Yaga,
Yep.
and that's before you meet. That's after you meet Erasmus,
Yep.
everyone's favorite Enlightenment thinker, Erasmus.
Not to be confused with Erasmus, everyone's favorite hair shirt wearing religious philosopher.
Ah, yes, you're talking about the Catholic theologian.
Yes, I'm talking about the Reformation.
A humanist Dutch philosopher.
Yes.
You know your history.
Yes. I do. Oh, I need a
that game.
map.
I love Quest for Glory. Also, I might actually pick Sid Meier's Pirates as like a quickie.
I'll play some dang pirates.
I will play some goddamn Sid Meier's Pirates. That game is so good.
But
It's like the truest RPG you could play.
play the 1987 original. Keyboard only.
Jeff seems to like that game more than the reboot.
Or play Pirates Gold, which is the one for DOS.
Yeah, I'll pass on that. I actually think that the Xbox game was great, other than the fucking dancing minigame. Or the fact that I always play the game on easy because
You want the game to give you prompts.
I want the game to give me prompts, especially for the fucking dancing minigame. Like there are specific needing to do the what is it? The fucking like fighting just based off of body movement kind of sucks.
Like having to, just react to cues, basically.
I mean, it's an interesting idea if it was like better communicated, but yeah, no.
Okay, nope.
And then the whole like actual turn-based strategy part of that game kind of sucks.
Oh, the
The actually attacking cities and taking them over and converting them.
yes. This is where I once again advocate for Axis. I know you're busy making that Marvel game that I don't think looks very good. But have you considered Pirates 2?
Or how about someone find out who has the rights to Sim Golf?
Yes,
Please.
finally. Is it EA? Is it 2K? Why don't you figure that out?
UK, anybody? Like, God.
Y'all figured out
God.
Alpha Centauri.
I mean, they technically made a sequel to Alpha Centauri.
No, we don't talk about Beyond Earth.
Beyond Earth, supposedly with the expansion pack, finally got there.
Okay.
That game at launch was very disappointing.
That game at launch was literally Civ 5 with a different tech tree.
That reminded me of that expansion pack for Civ 4 that basically had a bunch of like mods, but with that were fully realized by the official dev team. What was that? Beyond Earth or not Beyond Earth?
Yeah, no, Civ 4 had a couple. And then there was
Beyond the Sword.
Yeah.
That's the one where they said, okay, we're gonna take the top 5 or like the top 10 user scenarios, send them to us, and then we are going to finish them, give them an actual budget.
Yes. And then
That
Civ
was
4
such a
also
cool
has
thing to
the
see.
remake of Colonization, which is worse than the original game.
Well, the weird thing about Colonization was it launched with a bug that made it virtually impossible for certain like the entire way that getting liberty and declaring independence worked was completely broken, and they did not fix it until years after launch.
Like, that game very much punished you for building up Liberty
Declaring
Bells over
independence
time.
early, and then also having coastal settlements because you would just get swarmed by your kingdom with like just waves and waves of ships that would just destroy your towns. And then it was hard because you were supposed to have settlements that were in roads or inside the land, but like setting up trade routes
Yeah.
sucked so much.
Oh yeah, the like the game plan of colonization is 100% just make all your settlements on the coast because it's a pain.
And then wait until the last minute to declare independence.
Yep.
So is that the kingdom doesn't have enough time to react to it and send its entire force.
I do think this game is just maybe a little unparalleled in terms of being fucking creepy.
Killing a person ain't no big deal.
Until
So let's
someone
talk about
starts
these new
talking.
lores of magic, my man.
Yeah.
Talk about the new lores of magic. We now have Snizzich.
Lord of,
Nurgle,
yes, Sneech,
Slaanesh.
Nurgle, Slaanesh.
But it wasn't
We
my
have basically
fault.
all of the
He
Daemon
made me
Princes,
do it.
as
Yeah.
well as the lores of magic
Calm
for
down, Eddie.
Kislev. I'm gonna pull
Tell
up
me
the
what
list.
happened.
Kislev and
as
Grand
well
Cathay,
as
yeah.
Grand Cafe.
Had it coming.
Now I have a problem with the
Wait.
lores of magic for Kislev.
He just came out.
One,
Besides, he
one.
You go ahead.
with his eyes.
So my
But
problem
that's
is that they are very
killed him?
obviously theming the lores of magic
What do you
to
mean just
ice.
for that?
And what have we always
You can't just
learned
kill
about
someone 'cause of the way they look
countries
at
that
you.
have their lores of magic tied to
Oh, yeah?
one
Why
specific
not?
type of element,
Till now, I
which
always
is
let people
if you were
walk
fighting an
all over me.
enemy that is resistant to that, all your spells are
Like
fucking
that
useless.
dog. He had it coming too. Eddie.
So you know how like all of these, like whenever
joking,
there's a faction
James.
that gets fire magic, there's like half the factions are
That's what I
resistant to
thought. He
fire
was
magic.
running.
Yeah, but you're real good against undead and
Right.
wood elves.
You're going out there alone?
So that's my only concern with Kislev.
Um,
Like
Eddie?
they seem to be the most boring.
Yeah, like the lore of Yin and Yang have some really crazy spells. The one
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. Lords
reflects
of magic.
arrows.
Yeah, they can reflect ranged attacks basically, which is super cool. Let me pull up. Here we go. Okay. So let's go. Let's start with the most roundabout. Like, my problem with Kislev is that basically they did the most boring thing they could have done, which is one does basically elemental damage, which is probably going to be the
Yeah.
Frost Queen, right? And
Lore
the
of
other is
Ice,
going to
yeah,
be-
and Lore of Tempest. Lore of Tempest has a couple good. Has one spell
It has
that
it has multiple vortex spells. It has a wind spell, an area spell, and a bombardment spell, which is always good to have. So is that
Yeah.
you know, complemented with a person with siege attacker, usually helps you deal with the people
Wall.
defending the walls.
well, that siege
But it's
rework.
very straightforward, and you know, we'll see. Anyways, Lore of Yin and Yang. So, Lore of Yin, Storm of Shadows, which is a hex spell. Ghostly shadows spring from the caster's outstretched arm, enveloping the foe in dancing shades. Makefoot greatly reduces the speed of a target unit. I always like spells that slow down units. I know that Wood Elves have the one where they basically cause the spikes to come out from the ground, and it
Yes.
does damage, and it slows them down. Because when you're going up against, let's say, Hex Wraiths or just
Yeah.
cavalry units, and you're... Well, if you cast that spell on Hex Wraiths, they all fucking die.
Because, yeah, heck,
That's always the nice thing about Hex Wraiths. You just need one good cast of magic, and they're fucking gone. The point of them, that's why they're a great unit, but...
they've got a lot of physical resist.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to think about like unique lores of magic in the context of the faction.
So the Lore of Yin also has a summon,
Yeah.
which is something that I think, yeah, it looks like the Lore of Ice has a lot of augments, which I'm not entirely against, but they have got 2 augments, 2 direct damage, a breath.
You want to
and
link
an
this in
area
the chat so people can read along?
Yeah. huh? Like, that's the most, like, this is literally how metal magic works for Balthazar Gelt. Almost. But, like, they have a war... Man, it's so cool. So they have a summon in Yin. They have a summon. They've got a vortex. They've got a hex. They have a wind. They can hide their units, which is always fun. And then they can slow down the units that are coming after them, which combined with being able to hide your unit seems like a fucking recipe for disaster for the opponent.
They are also, Cathay seems super defensive.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that they are the faction who have, like, it's kind of like
Which is
how...
why they have that Jade Shield spell.
That spell seems
increases
great.
Gives a unit significant damage resistance.
There's the one that gives all of units in an area like expert charge defense, which seems very good.
They also have that Dragon Explosion spell. Yeah, it seems cool.
It looks like a better version of Lore of the Deep, I feel like, because Lore of the Deep and Lore of Nekahara are two lores of magic that make sense in the context of their respective factions, but maybe are less great.
I think that Lore of Nekahara is actively bad.
There's that one spell that increases reload rate, like, incredibly high.
Which is really important for all of your Skelly spam archers.
Use it for Bo Ushabti.
And I've said this before, my fundamental problem with the Lore of Nekahara is the fact that so many of their
They don't have any mass target buffs.
Are mono, and they cannot be overcast, and that is a hindrance in terms of how much you do. And especially when you consider, like, how limited their siege equipment is. Like, I like the Casket of Souls, but it's fucking expensive.
Screaming
it's
Skull catapults.
It's like, god damn it. But yeah, these Daemon Prince, oh man. These Daemon Prince Lores of Magic look fucking great.
Lore of Zneach being nothing but explodey
Magic
death
missile.
spells.
Like, he's got blue fire, he's got pink fire. He has a spell that lowers the leadership of all enemies affected in an area, which if you overcast it, it also lowers their melee attack. That seems like a real fucked up thing to do.
It's like that Lore of Death spell. That is also very good for that same reason.
I just can't imagine, like, Sneech is also going to probably have, like, debuffs for leadership, so I wonder if you're going to be able to do the Beastman Unbreakable Army, like, beat them by leadership.
I think that's very possible.
Oh, it's going to be great. Kind of amazed that they have... Sneech has a something that allows your armies. He's got buffs too.
Yeah.
So it seems like they went out of their way to make these new Lords of Magic balanced. He's got a Vortex spell, which those are always fun, but I almost never overcast them because of how out of control they can get.
I like it when a Vortex spell goes well. Sometimes it doesn't.
And sometimes it doesn't. It's like, yeah, this is why I never get the Sword of Cain, because if I pop the Sword of Cain in the wrong spot, then it's destroyed my own army. I've done that. I've massacred my own army. I've massacred my own army using the Sword of Cain once. Slaanesh. I have to see it in practice.
Yes.
I have to see it in practice. I'm still unconvinced that Slaanesh's army will work.
In terms of, like, boobs, or in terms of, like, roster composition?
Roster composition.
Because I feel like the thing I'm getting from Zneach and Khorne being as different as they are is they're gonna try to hyper focus these factions, at least at launch.
I remember you saying that Slaanesh looks like it's going to be the glass cannon faction
Yeah.
of Lords, and we already have glass cannon factions in
Beastmen.
yeah, we've already got that, so I need to know how they're going to differentiate. So like the Lash of Slash is it just does attacks. It's a conal attack. And then we get into like, it looks like Slaanesh is really about debuffing people. So
Yeah.
the second spell is about decreasing speed and melee defense, which is always helpful.
There's a spell that gives your units ridiculous buffs in exchange for Rampage.
Which I hate Rampage. I hate Rampage.
Not a Lizard Man fan.
I just find a Rampage to be just so unmanageable and unpredictable. It's like the Berserker status effect.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that they have a bombardment spell. It's
one of those things where, you know what all of these spells do in theory, but in practice they're very much spells that, like, let's talk about how good Murder of Crows is, or
Yeah.
Flock of Doom.
I need to see how Slaanesh's faction works, because I don't feel like I still have the best grasp of what the Slaanesh faction is going to do, like in terms of unit roster. I want to see. They've really only shown us a lot of Khorne, and I need to see how differentiated the Chaos Demon factions are going to be.
Tzeentch seems esoteric and weird in a way I am into.
I'm into what they've shown, but like what is it gonna, like, what's the full roster look like?
That's
how
out.
far? Yeah, I know. But
Okay.
it's just what are the build paths probably are the same, shared by all of them.
Yeah.
Like yeah. Nurgle looks like basically they took Clan Mulder.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah. Which I think is the weird thing to say. Like, I can imagine me playing Nurgle the most because I like playing Skaven so much, especially Plague Priests.
Nurgle is going to
But-
be a bunch of unkillable motherfuckers. That's my
But at
prediction.
the same time, if I'm basically getting a more chaos-themed version of Skaven and Clan Mulder and, like,
I think
Pestilence, I think I'll still play Skaven.
I think they're going to be unkillable and just slow. So if anything, they're... Oh dear.
Oh, you're in a bathroom.
Yeah, no,
In a
this
real bad way.
this game is just very good at creating unpleasantness. And I want to recognize it for that. I think I think the big question mark for me at this point is, the last two Demon Lords, but specifically Slaanesh. Like, I feel like I know what Nurgle is going to be, and he's going to be the tank faction. Whereas, Slaanesh, I want to see a little more of in terms of just comp. Tzeentch being ranged and air support is fun.
Go back to Westwood Studios. It's kind of reminding me of Red Alert, in that it reminds me of Red Alert Yuri's Revenge, where Yuri's faction was all about mind control, which made it completely broken, and there had to be ban lists that said no Yuri.
Yep. Banned in multiplayer, if I remember correctly.
Yes, absolutely, because it's like, I sent all of my tanks, and now they're main controlled, and you just sent them back at me. This is broken. I think there is a way to do mind control, corrupted, that kind of stuff, but
there is a fan mod for Yuri's Revenge that very much breaks each faction into sub-factions and tries to make the Yuri faction remotely competitive. I forgot what it's called, but that man, that writhing torso puked on me.
This is also by the same people who brought the Forge faction into Heroes of Might and Magic.
Is it?
Fucking no, I'm just joking.
I think
Fucking
a lot about.
motherfuckers. Fuck you, fantasy fucks, for not letting us have our fucking. I'm still salty about fucking.
That is one thing that I'm just like, imagine how much better Armageddon's Blade would have been with that ridiculous
A cyberpunk fucking.
cyber goblin faction.
Fucking assholes. Had to ruin it for everyone. And then instead we got Cornflux.
Conflux. Yep.
Fucking Cornflux.
Conflux is bad.
Which is its own different version of busted.
Huh. Conflux, another faction that is notable for being banned.
Is there enough of RPGing for us to play Heroes of Might and Magic, or is that too strategy?
I mean, if we want to play that for an off-week episode, I will absolutely play some dang Heroes of Might and Magic, as I have been for the last 20 years of my life.
Would you pick 3 or would you pick 2? Probably 3.
At this point, I would pick 2 because I think 2 is the one that I secretly like. 3 is the one that everyone picks. 436 people at a recital. Okay. Burning Man.
Heroes of Might and Magic is also one of those games where, like, the amount of game that's been lost to time because they lost the source code or the rights have expired and they have never been able to get it back. Isn't there an expansion pack that's basically dead forever?
No. Basically, when Ubisoft did that HD version with the redone sprites, they only did the base game because the source code for the expansions was lost. But, you know,
That's for 3?
That's for 3.
So Armageddon's Blade is not in the re-release?
It is not in the HD version, but the version on GOG, Heroes 3 Complete, still has everything. There's still,
Ubisoft mishandling the Heroes of Might and Magic franchise?
Heroes 7 is still something I am going to stream at some point. I just, in my heart of hearts, I can't.
The Ubisoft era of a franchise being completely mismanaged and or poor? Wait, what?
You know, Heroes 5 is good. Because it was made by Russians.
You commiserate about the Ubisoft's handling of Might and Magic. I commiserate about Ubisoft's handling of the Myst franchise. Myst. I need to play Myst 4. Revelation.
Or Myst 5, End of Ages.
They spent $100,000 on Myst 4's soundtrack, trying to get an actual orchestral music soundtrack into that game. Just think about that.
I do think about that. You know, when I think
Anyways,
Myst, I don't think orchestral soundtrack.
No, you don't. I forgot how shitty the maps are in Silent Hill 2.
I do like how this game annotates the maps, but I think them actually trying to do like naturalistic map design and try to make these locations real actually damages the flow of this game.
It seems poor. It seems poor.
Like Resident Evil, this is where I talk about how good the police station is in Resident Evil 2 and how there is a flow to the way Resident Evil 2's police station is laid out, where it loops around, you see things that you can't quite reach until you get certain keys. Whereas this game, I feel like I am literally stumbling around in the dark. And just kind of hoping I pick up all the important key items. There are blood-stained clothes here.
I mean, you hate to see it.
Like, there is a commitment that this game is making that makes it a worse game.
Man.
I'm very excited for Warhammer.
I am too. It would have probably been my game of the year this year had it come out. But you know what?
What do you think
We're
your game of
neither
the year
here.
is?
Oh boy. I've spent more time with Pathfinder.
Yeah.
I think it's a dogfight between Sable and Pathfinder.
Yeah, how far are you in Pathfinder?
About hour 50.
Okay, so you're, like, what act are you in?
I'm about Act 3.
Okay, so you picked your mythic path?
Yes.
Which one did you go with?
Fuck. Where's my flowchart? Shut the fuck up. Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, Mythic Paths. Give me such a bad time. Oh, I was Azada.
Okay, so you're all about power of friendship and freedom.
It was between that and Aeon. There was part of me that really wanted to go Trickster, but I don't think I could commit to that lifestyle.
I did Trickster.
How was it? What was the Blackwing Library?
So Trickster, the central quest line in Trickster is basically you are given a seat on the Interplanar UN committee to discuss what to do with the giant demon hole, and basically fuck that up, and it's pretty funny.
I'm really glad that they fully committed to definitely representing the less than good.
Oh yeah, it seems like there's some evil
I
paths.
want to see I wonder what happens when you pick Lich or Daemon.
If you go if you know, there's the late game path where you can pick if you go Path of the Swarm, everyone will leave you and you become an all-consuming monster.
See, I was gonna ask, like, don't you basically become like a swarm of bugs?
Yes.
That's cool. So all of your friends just basically leave you.
Yeah, there's very much like a thing of like, yeah, all of your party members will leave you because even your evil party members aren't gonna deal with that.
I like what it says here. Swarm that walks is a mythic path in Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, an all-devouring monstrosity. This is the path of ultimate evil, and you should be ready to see even the closest of your friends become your enemies or your food.
Yeah.
I'm glad they put it in there. Also, I think you guys were talking about it during M streams, but it's kind of weird how characters in the previous game that were really important NPCs just get iced or fridged.
Oh yeah, there's a character in the adventure path who just is.
And I
There's
don't
a
know
reason
how
why.
I feel about that.
Because
you're
Yeah.
right. There is a reason why, but I don't like it.
So you're
Like, I still
saying
don't like
you saw Camilla's person? Have you gotten to the turn in Camellia's personal storyline?
Yes, I don't. I understand.
She's a trash person.
I get it, but
Do we want to spoil it here?
no, we shouldn't.
Okay.
Look, I understand why.
Dayren is great because he is also a trash person. And he knows it. And also he's your heal bot.
It's just they did a good. They did a good.
It feels like they nailed it.
They made a better representation of their tabletop game than anything that Wizards of the Coast has done.
It's better than Kingmaker. And I think part of that is just the choice of adventure, because I've said before that the thing about Kingmaker is that the kingdom building aspect of that adventure seems like something that would be way better in the context of you and your friends doing this over the course of several months. Whereas in a video game, just broken down into raw mechanics, it's not very interesting.
Yeah.
And I do think the Crusade management stuff in Pathfinder is dog shit. Their bad approximation of heroes combat is something I would advise people skip.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot to be said about the character sheet in general and the UI in general.
It's better than Kingmaker, but
yes,
it's one of those things where just endemic to the rule set they're using. I can't do anything with just this. All right. Yes, I am right. See, at this point, I was only half watching Gino's stream, so...
Oh, he's not here. I don't think he's here. Let me check. I don't think he's here. No, he's not here. So we can talk shit about him.
I like Gino.
Nah, but do you?
I mean, to be fair, I think Gino is surprisingly swift at condemning things that do not fit his personal interest.
I wish I was that person. I wish I could do that. I wish I had that. But I'm too sensitive. I'm a softie. Except fuck Gino.
And meanwhile, I'm over here just embracing the things that are bad. Like, Gino's like, why would you play that? Why would you play that? Oh no. Gino is here. My god. The hole.
Oh no, Gino's here. Get in chat, Gino. We're talking shit about you. Hey, what's
Gino's a very handsome man.
What's pasta fazool? And what's the difference between pasta fazool and minestrone? What's pasta mean?
I have a finite time on Earth and I'm not going to play garbage. Yeah. You need to understand that garbage isn't just garbage. Garbage is a learning experience.
Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself, Shannon, when you play garbage.
I bought a copy of Mars War Logs for 88 cents on Green Man Gaming.
I spent 75 cents on Atlantis: A Lost Tales. And I learned a lot about my ability to persevere. You know, it's something really funny is the way that PC Culture reviews things that they're not equipped to review. I'm like reading this just for a good shit and giggle. I'm reading PC Mag's 3.5 star rating of Nintendo Switch Online.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, yeah, I see why you gave it this score, but it's like, I don't have a fucking choice. It's like, yeah, we're gonna ding them for a whole point for, like, you know, the lack of features. Cloud saves don't work with all games. There's no voice chat or group organization. It's like, yeah, it's a Nintendo online service.
It's bad. Do not get me wrong. It is a poor service, but also, I wanted to play Monster Hunter.
Don't you pasta fazool is beans and pasta minestrones is a soup? Don't you guys put like pasta in your minestrone? I think there's pasta in minestrone.
Gino,
isn't there?
look how many shotgun shells I have. I don't need to beat things with a stick. I am the stick.
I thought that there was pasta shells in minestrone.
Minestrone's good.
Yeah, minestrone has pasta. What's the difference between these two things? I don't understand. I'm so confused. I'm scared.
Also, I have used party chat before, but now I literally just use Discord for my voice chat needs when playing multiplayer. Like,
It's almost like playing, doing that over Ethernet is way better than doing it over Wi-Fi.
I should get an Ethernet connection. Beat them with a big sword, use the large knife. I'm being taunted right here.
So what's the next big game for you in terms of
Soul
streaming?
Reaver.
Ah, right.
We're gonna play Soul Reaver. Hi, Dad. This is the TV I'm streaming from. You want to join me on my stream? You want to say hi to my friend Chris?
Hi.
Okay. Bye, Dad. My dad says hi.
Yes. Hello. You've all, everyone in chat is.
Relkin played the Resident Evil 7 DLC today. So I got
Jesus.
I got to see him play as Joe Baker and punch a bunch of mold monsters in the face. It's a
Why would you do that to yourself?
That DLC is nuts, my dude. It's like an hour long, and I have a deep respect for the way Resident Evil 7 did its DLC because it is so. They had no idea what they were doing and just did everything. Whereas 8, they literally waited until that game came out to start working on DLC.
That seems weird.
Yeah,
That seems
it was.
weird.
But they said they're making like what, a single player expansion, I think was the thing.
Oh.
When we talk about games that we like this year, I think 8, like, Resident Evil Village is such a silly, weird game.
I wonder how much steam that game has lost as a result of coming out as early as it did.
I don't even want to talk about like the meta game of how will this game rate with outlets and people.
That was a game I played once, and then I played again, and I wrote a blog about it, and then I didn't play it ever again. But I wouldn't say that I hated my time with it. I loved it. There
Oh,
are parts.
shit.
Resident Evil Village I truly loved. Oh,
ZP,
this
it's
one's
that
bad.
guy.
But at the same time, it has maybe the worst Mercenaries mode.
Oh,
it
the
made
Mercenaries mode in that game is such a bummer.
so long, and then the part where you control Chris kind of sucks.
I like that part. That part is like weird and goofy.
That Mother Rosario, that Mother battle sucks shit.
Yeah,
That last
the
boss
Mother
battle
Miranda
sucked.
boss fight.
I mean, breaking news: the last boss in a Resident Evil game. Shit.
Well, you don't like the final boss of I think the final boss of 3 remake is actually pretty good. The final form of Nemesis, where you gotta charge the railgun.
So you have Stockholm Syndrome.
I like that fight. I think that fight's pretty good. Although I hear on Inferno it like one-shots you and you basically just have to dodge it over and over again. Which sounds unfun. Oh shit, I got the big knife. I need to get the wire clippers though. Final boss of 7 is also very bad. Like, in terms of big thing. I'm saying the bosses of 3 remake actually require, like, skill from the player instead of just, like, obnoxious trial and error. Like, the fight with Nemesis on the roof where he has the flamethrower is pretty good. Like, those are well-designed boss fights. That... I will continue to go to bat for Resident Evil 3 remake.
And I think I've fallen off of Back 4 Blood. We're gonna get into like GOTY talk. The solo mode in that game actually sucks.
Oh, that game seems like a bummer solo.
And then the PvP mode kind of ruins it for me. And I find the environments incredibly repetitious.
I think that game will be very good in a year. I think is
it needs. I think we kind of forget how varied the locations in both of the Left 4 Dead games were, especially Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2 has a lot of Back 4 Blood is just very
gray parking lot, gray industrial park,
forest. Like, I guess it's the Appalachians, so you know, because it's like Pennsylvania or something, right?
Yep.
Pennsylvania. I think the other weird thing about Back 4 Blood is just, I think it's cool how much of that game is just like, yeah, you can make a weird build. But I feel like the amount of time you need to grind out cards to make that build is maybe not fun. There's something about the way that game structures its levels that I find upsetting.
Yeah.
Where they're all bite-sized chunks, but they're all chained together in a way that never feels quite what you're looking for. Oh.
How does this puzzle compare to Crown God?
It doesn't make me wish for absolution. I need to figure out how to do this puzzle first.
You know, get into chat when you have a chance. We're here to die. How much further more of this?
This
game
is almost the end. Like, there's the prison and then there's the hotel.
Right. I wonder what ending you will get, because you haven't been as careful about this.
I intentionally did not look up what I had to do.
You just played it as if you were having a fun time.
I do continue to express that Silent Hill, like, as a horror game, as a survival horror game, in the most boring clinical way of saying that, is a worse time than its contemporaries. Okay, what? Do I know how to solve the cube head puzzle? I don't think I do.
So what are we talking about? 3 out of 10? 4 out of 10? Got my
Do you need help?
Atlantis score guide. We gave the igloo puzzle 5 out of 10.
Like, I'm not gonna claim I enjoyed, like, the coin puzzle, but I felt like it made sense.
Remember that part where I had to figure out how to run away from a polar bear without getting eaten? I had to turn left instead of right, and if I turned any other direction, I got aided.
I think you should play,
Remember how I had to throw a flower pot to knock a guy out, and I had to aim it without a
oh
reticle?
shit, that's the guy. It's the guy from, it's the guy from that video game,
He's got the head with the pyramid on
Dead
top.
by Daylight.
Isn't he in Fortnite? I think I saw him in
No, I don't
Fortnite.
think he's in Fortnite yet. But you know Konami's not too good for it. You know Konami is not too good for a Fortnite spot. Wait. Put James Sunderland. James Sunderland is in. Once again, they just added a James Sunderland skin for Heather in Dead by Daylight. So you can, in fact, play as James in everyone's favorite asymmetric hide-and-seek game. I'm sure there's already a sexy nurse in Overwatch. The metaverse is coming for us all.
Yeah, James Sunderland is pretty, and he's a very handsome man in Dead by Daylight.
I mean, not really. But I like how much of a creep he is. And I think it's great that he can get stabbed by Pyramid Head. Oh, I apparently solved the puzzle at some accidentally. And then unsolved it. Or is this... What do I do? I'm gonna look this up because I have low patience at this point. Okay. Prison. Labyrinth. So the yellow, let's see. Press up twice so the red faces upright, then press right so the yellow faces upside down. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I see. I understand now. You're rotating the room with the cube. See? I figured it out.
You're alive! Maria, I thought that thing killed you. Are you hurt bad?
Not at all, silly.
Maria? That thing, it stabbed you. There was blood everywhere.
Stabbed me? What do you mean?
It chased us to the elevator, and then
James, what are you talking about?
just before. Don't you remember?
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So
Pyramid Head.
Yeah.
He's a guy.
I am.
You can send the
all I
spikes
want
of
from you is an
torment
answer.
at people, or you can lay down what is basically ground
It
traps.
doesn't matter.
And then if
who I
people
am.
walk over it, they get tormented it.
I'm here
And then
for you,
instead of
James.
putting them on hooks, you can
See?
send them away, and
real.
they will be sent to the opposite side of the map in a more faster working
touch me?
setup. And then they
Don't
will
know.
progress further down the sacrifice counter.
I can't do anything through these
Pyramid
bars.
Head's pretty good.
Okay,
He's a
stay
guy.
right there.
Um,
I'll be there soon.
Although honestly, I think my favorite killer is Freddy. Freddy can teleport to generators, and when people fall into dreams, you can yeah. All right. Yeah, and Freddy also has a you can place down traps where if people fall down into sleep mode, they scream and get slowed down, so you can do that while you're doing a chase and while you're looping people. This is my Dead by Daylight podcast. Thank you for joining me.
It seems to be one of the few games that does that whole
Asymmetric.
asymmetrical cooperative thing good.
It is.
Remember when
yeah.
people were excited about that Friday the 13th game for like a hot second?
That game is basically Dead by Daylight if it legal troubles prevented it from getting patched. Because that's the thing I always heard about the Friday the 13th game is like it had promise, but it was such a buggy mess, and because of legal stuff involving the ownership of that franchise, they were unable to patch it. Remember Evolve?
Yeah, that game.
From
that
the
game
makers
died
of
a
Back
pretty
4
bad
Blood?
death, not because of rights and stuff. That game died a death of 1,000 cuts for a reason.
Because they never figured out how to make it fun or explain, or when they did find out how to make it fun, they didn't make it approachable. One of the D&D YouTubers I follow worked on that game, and whenever he mentions it, he gets like a little defensive about it. And he's like, yeah, the best version of that game is a version I played in the office, some test build over the years of development. I'm like, oh, that's a very ringing endorsement of your product. When the best version of that game was some pre-release build.
Didn't they also, because of that lawsuit, have to like pull the dedicated servers for Friday? Like that Friday the 13th game is now like officially just a dead thing.
No, I saw it for sale during the Steam Halloween sale, so I believe you can still play it.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if they have updated it since, but it was one of those games that like seemed promising. But yeah, just, and besides, we're all into social deduction games now.
Yeah, they're all the rage.
I still do want to play Phasmophobia with some people, because I think that would be fun. Play Ghost Hunters. Stop vomiting. I do not care for this area. And I get it's one of those things where it's like, it's supposed to feel disorienting. Like, I feel it is unfair to be like, I think there is merit to intentionality in design, I think is how I would put it.
Yeah.
Like, it does upset me when people are like, oh, so they made the game bad on purpose? And I'm like, no. No, that's not.
It's a weird thing. I think we can agree with what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah, it's just.
It's a weird thing.
This is what we run into with Draken. to loop it back down.
I hate to say it, but I feel like there was a part of Draken that made sense.
There is an intentionality to Draken. Once again, that is a.
Draken wanted to hurt you.
I
Draken
said,
wanted to hurt you.
It is the CRPG equivalent of a Kaizo game.
If there was a free hour during Extra Life that I possibly might volunteer for, I might stream an hour of Draken.
I want you to get Rory on chat when you play that. If you play that.
Need to have like a co-pilot that reads a guide that's only maybe one step above the coherence of Draken. Enter the castle, but watch out for the shark. It's like, I'm trying so hard.
It is, how can you guide the unguidable?
still probably the worst game I played this year.
Oh, hey, what's up, bud?
Is that the worst game we played this year? Like,
I
even-
mean,
it's still probably worst game of the year, right?
the worst game I have played this year,
It's Draken.
it
Don't even.
but Drocket, so here,
Don't even. Are
If-
you going to say what I think you're going to say?
okay, this goes back to talking about intentionality is,
Are you really going to say Siren of Blood Curse?
no, I need to play more Siren Blood Curse before I make that assertion.
Okay, then what are you going to pick as the worst game?
I mean, I still utterly despise Devil May Cry 2.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a good pick.
Like, that game is miserable.
That game's short.
So is. I mean, we didn't finish Draken. Because that game is not meant to be finished.
Dungeon. I finished the first dungeon and I hated it. Now I'm watching an ad to give you money from the Learning Center. Oh, I'm getting targeted. I'm getting targeted.
I get targeted ads telling me to put my kids in masks. Because I live in a state where people aren't doing that. And I feel like if you're in a demographic that is targeted by these ads, you've already made up your mind. Just, I feel that way because of where our country is at this point. I also get targeted ads about, crypto. So many crypto ads. Like, fucking... You can use Coinbase and learn about crypto and get paid while you're doing it. It's like, fuck off. Yes, I am a male between the ages of 25 and 40 or whatever.
This is the dark hell that we live in.
Yeah. As opposed to
This
the
is
dark hell that
late-game
James lived.
capitalist bullshit we have to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, here we go, finally. Now Twitch thinks I'm French Canadian, keep giving me French ads. You know, there are ways to get rid of ads on my channel. Would you like to know? You can subscribe. Oh, jeez. Oh, we're in here. I remember this from Gino Stream.
Oh, hey, yeah, it's the flesh organ dungeon thing. With, like, termites.
Yep. Alright, just gonna use the hunting rifle.
Games coming out in 2022.
Flesh Organ Dungeon, what is it, Scorn? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
I bought a game called Vomitorium.
Ooh.
Which is once again, a Giger-esque first-person shooter, Metroid Prime kind of thing.
I've heard of this game.
That is in the GZ Doom engine.
When you originally were sounding those words out, I thought you were gonna say you were gonna play Sanatorium.
No, that's a you
Sanitarium?
game.
Are you saying I have to play that game?
You want to play Waxworks? That's technically an RPG and also an adventure game.
I'm not trying to order you.
So what do you
People
want
liked
then?
Sanitarium at the time.
Oh, I see. You're trying to be nice to me, right? I know what you're up to. It's always the same. You're only after one thing.
No, that's not true at all.
James, that is true, you creep.
Go ahead and say
I
it.
clicked,
Or you could just
you know what? No, I'm not gonna say it. It's actually kind of a spoiler. Never mind.
You know what you
A game that you and Gino are playing it's been tagged by the Steam community tags for point and click adventure.
I finished Inscription.
It's the community has put the point and click adventure tag onto that game.
Angela,
Don't touch me. You make me sick.
What if I play Pajama Sam?
Those games are Humongous Entertainment made some solid point and click games for kids.
What
like,
if I played Corpse Party?
okay,
Said your wife Mary was
but like the uncensored versions, right?
yes, she
Sure.
was ill.
RPG Maker,
liar.
fake horror
I
garbage.
know about you. You didn't want her around.
What if you played a game you enjoyed?
You probably
How
found
about I
someone
play Happy
else.
Guy? It's got the hentai tag on it, and it's got this big booby chested lady.
That's
Nurse
ridiculous.
Are you? Do you have the filters on Steam?
No.
I do. Because I
I want to
have,
roll the dice on life.
no, I have too much self-respect to
I want to roll the dice on life.
have nothing but
Also, my problem is like I want all of the weird untranslated Chinese and Japanese games on all of them.
Well, I have great news.
Yes.
If you're interested in that, there's plenty of it
On the internet.
on the internet. If you want some poorly drawn adult video games
Steam,
with some,
I asked for point and click, not fucking smut. Like
if you want, if
visual
you want,
novel smut is not point and click. What? This is so
gotta
frustrating.
point and click in the right places. See, there's my goof.
Disco Elysium got tagged point and click adventure. What the fuck, Steam? What
I mean,
the fuck?
in the. Oh right, yes. Got to figure out who's guilty and who's not.
Or to avoid sanitarium. Yeah, probably. You mean to tell me a game about descending into a mentally insane person's mind might have poor depictions of mental health treatment? Like a game that did that in the 90s might not have done that well?
Play Under a Killing
Don't
Moon? Yeah,
say.
play Tex Murphy.
The remake or the old games?
It wasn't a remake. It was a new game. They made a new Tex Murphy game. That was the one that was kickstarted. Yeah, I get that full motion video on. Oh, right. Okay. You gotta pick who. Uh-huh.
Why don't I find that? Why don't I play that Sherlock Holmes game? You know.
Which one?
That Sherlock Holmes game.
The Testament of Sherlock
in-
Holmes?
The one that is important to the history of Giant Bomb.
Yes, I believe that's the Testament of Sherlock Holmes, right?
Yes.
And in this one, he dies.
Or
And
does he
Jo-
die?
And John Watson has to raise firearms against him.
Those games are really rough. Frogwares games are really rough because there was one of those Sherlock Holmes games was free on Games for Gold, and I tried it out, and it was bad. But they really wanted to introduce the world to their rendition of Sherlock Holmes.
What about the one where it's him versus Arsène Lupin. Arsène Lupin.
Right. I have to find that game. I wonder
It's
if that
Sherlock
game is
Holmes
still out.
Nemesis. Is the one with Lupin. Okay, it's this one. Okay, yes. Oh, Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments.
Is that
That's-
the one where Watson always follows you?
No, I think that's Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper. They made a lot of those games.
Fucking workmanlike quality. They are gonna give you a Sherlock Holmes game. I'm higher hell water.
I mean, will it be better than the Jeremy Brett series from the 80s? Probably not. Did you ever watch that? Were you ever a PBS mystery kid who didn't have cable?
My mom was really into it, so yes.
Okay. Yes, the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes series is fantastic. They're pretty faithful to the original Conan Doyle stories, but they are, they work for TV. And that is the portrayal of Sherlock Holmes I think of. Just dude coked out of his mind.
I'm trying to find which. Sorry, adjusting the microphone. I'm trying to find which adventure games are on sale on GOG.
Their Halloween sale's still going on, right? Or did it just end?
It's still going.
Okay. How about Toonstruck? With
You go to hell. Didn't Vinny play a significant
yes,
amount of that?
they played part of that for a play date and then never picked it back up.
That game goes into a weird place. I'm also sure that it might be missing that might actually be an abandonware game.
I'm trying to think. What's a good adventure? See, the secret is none of them are good adventure games. All adventure games are bad, even the good ones. You just like them because they had good writing at a time when most video games didn't. However,
You keep digging your grave. I forgot like the DOS version of Mule is on GOG.
oh, that's right. Danny Button's Mule. That's a very important game.
Important game that I don't want to play.
I don't want to play Mule.
Right. I need to maybe play a Police Quest game.
Oh, yeah. I bet Police Quest is a series that holds up even better than every other Sierra game. There's the FMV Police Quest that fucking Daryl F. Gates worked on.
I don't want to play that. Zach McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders.
You could play like the weird, bad sex comedy adventure games that followed in the wake of Leisure Suit Larry. play spell
damn it.
casting from the people who would
Why?
go on to make.
Why am I doing this to myself? Why are you forcing this onto me?
I'm not. You are the one asking for suggestions. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. Oh dear.
Can I be happy once in my life?
Yes.
Maria.
Play a game you
no.
enjoy. Play Grim Fandango or Day of the Tentacle.
Oh, Grim Fandango's some like vanilla milkshake ass shit.
Why?
See, can you even stream Leisure Suit Larry? Yeah. Like, the thing about Leisure Suit Larry is that most of those games are like, the point is he is a loser, I guess. And like, but I just, the 80s screwball sex comedy is one of those things that I have no affinity for and just find gross, even in parody form. I know Sparky Buzzsaw like has a fondness for those games, but he's not here to defend them.
He's in our heart.
He's in our hearts, and also
I see him on.
I see him on
Twitch.
Steam.
Yeah, I see him on Twitch and Steam.
Yep. All right. Well, if you don't want vanilla, if you don't want games that people like, play some King's Quest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play some dang King's Quest 5. Because that's the one that first introduced voice acting. Or 6. Like, they got Hollywood voice talent for those games. Like, once again, actual voice actors in an era when most video game voice actors were just ding-dongs from accounting. In the same way that, like, Legacy of Kain got actual voice actors who did actual voice work instead of a random ass guy who lived in Japan, like this game.
Yeah. If I really wanted to go old, I could do something like, I fucking should have done, Personal Nightmare. To time it to, like, or Colonel's Bequest.
Oh yeah, play Laura Bow.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
It really is something that I feel like is the nice thing about GOG is someone cares about these games.
They don't care enough to make King's Quest 8 work correctly.
No.
How about Quest for Glory? Yeah, that sounds like a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm gonna pick it.
That's why it's going to be the next big game we play, which it will not take that
Probably.
long.
Like 2 episodes. Tried to play those those Ultima adventure games, and it's like, this fucking sucks. Sucks bad.
Well, you didn't like the Savage Empire?
Oh god, one of my failed experiments.
Your Wheel of Free GOG games which you gave up once you realized how dire those games were?
It was the anime turn-based strategy game that made me realize that was a bad idea.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
Character literally uttered the word, "I'm firing up my laser," and I was like, nope, 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 nope.
I feel like when you are making meat. Oh yeah, the weird Shannara game. Yatsu brought that. So that was made by the people who made I'm doing a Geno strat here. Yes, the Shannara game was made by the same people who made the Wheel of Time shooter. Which is like a weird thing to think about.
I love the art of Shannara. The box art. It's just this
Oh,
floating
just
head.
this floating warlock man.
This floating warlock head.
Do you have any? Oh, you should play Lords of Midnight. It's true. Those games are neat. And Doomdark's Revenge.
I played Lords of Midnight and got really confused.
You did.
Yeah, I tried to play Lords of Midnight and was like, I need to study this before I try again.
Gotta read the manual.
I love how they made that game free, though. A lot of care was put into that Lords of Midnight GOG release. Yes, I have also found some of the... Computer Game Entertainment, July 1997 edition. Thank you.
This will go into my private collection.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, archive.org,
Full
you
CD-ROM
delightful,
version of Shannara in it.
lawless pirates. I bet it's a
We don't-
DOS
we don't-
game still. So you could probably set up DOSBox to run it. Because, boy, if it's not, that's a problem.
I've got DOSBox.
Oh, I still vaguely remember how to do DOSBox configs. Oh no, the CD-ROM version is a Windows 95 game.
Ah, fuck.
It is that specific era, that like Windows 95,
Man,
98
that is
era,
literally the worst era.
as far as compatibility. Because earlier
Oh,
than
it's
that,
so
there's a DOS
bad.
version that you usually can play without much issue.
It's so bad.
Also,
I
yeah,
mean,
GOG has spoiled us. There was a period where I was very good at making DOSBox configs.
It's man, yeah, I don't know how to.
I
say it
learned how
other
to
than-
use DOSBox because I wanted to play Daggerfall. That's my
dire.
context.
Like I can't even. I think I've already talked about the dire straits I had to go to just to make Atlantis work.
Yep.
It wasn't fun. Finding the specific compatibility mode that worked with modern Windows to run it and also
Yeah.
allow it to communicate with OBS.
Yep.
It was a nightmare.
Because yeah, there was definitely a brief period where I was very into looking up abandonware sites, we'll say, and just trying to see what I could run. All right, I need to find the light. Did we play Dragon Lore 2? No. That sounds like something we should play. I was gonna say, I thought for a second it said Dungeon Lords 2, and I was about to say, fuck no. But, you know. Dungeon Lords is the example of a game that makes sense. Or Dungeon Siege. Not Dungeon Lords. Dungeon Lords is a high quality video game that did not get a sequel.
Hey, it's the boat sequence. Everybody's favorite part of.
I admit that at this point I am playing this game with your Peanut Gallic commentary because I already watched Gino play this, and so a lot of the effect is gone. I do kind of love that Jeff edited a podcast. I need to listen to the Hardcore Gaming 101 podcast where they talk about those Elvira games.
There's no Elvira adventure game.
Yes. There are two.
There's two.
There are two Elvira adventure games that are also kind of RPGs.
Okay.
I feel like Elvira is one of those cultural things that I just have no understanding of. Because I was born in the 90s. And so, like, okay, I get it. She's a busty lady who is very intentionally camp and hosted horror movie marathons and somehow turned that into a successful career.
Yeah.
And I respect that. And Cassandra Peterson seems like a classy lady.
Yep.
She seems like a cool lady. And I wish her the best. But it's one of those things where, like, I have no reference for it.
Yeah.
Sort of like how, what's her name? Girl from The Exorcist, Linda Blair, like, was stuck hosting movie marathons. Because she was in...
Perv's gonna perv, as they say.
Yep.
Perv's gonna perv.
Pervert gonna pervert.
Whew. Give me a minute. I gotta go offline for a brief
All
bit.
right. So having finally played this game, I feel like it's one of those things where I absolutely understand why people love this game so much. It's just, if push comes to shove, I don't know if it's necessarily 100% like what I love about the genre, but as like a work of quote unquote art that is trying to say something, it's very good. It's very haunting. Did I ever play Shattered Memories? No. If someone wants to send me their Wii copy of Shattered Memories, I'll play it. Because I do, in fact, have a Wii. This game just throws ammo at you. At some point, I will probably also play the first game. Because I own it. But I think between this and Alone in the Dark, and probably playing more Siren at some point, I think I'm good for horror games for a bit.
I'm back.
Yay.
Yay, you're not alone.
Evangelion 1.11. You are not alone.
I think I might. I have to give an award to Evangelion. Most surprisingly sincere.
The end. It's certainly hard to play the first Silent Hill right now. I have it on PS3, but yeah, I bet it's a bit clunky. But you know, I played Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare.
Really? Well, yes, I saw that.
Yes. That game is. What the fuck was?
You know, they tried something.
They were definitely like gunning for that Resident Evil spot.
They definitely tried something.
I think I might also maybe play more Alone in the Dark 2, just because the most wild intro to a video game. But yeah, I do agree that the way this game's camera swims around is a lot. And it swims around even more in the first game. Yeah, we talked about Evangelion, but I still think a lot about how well that movie ended.
That ending was like I said, I'm gonna give it
felt
either
things.
best ending or most surprising. Most surprisingly good. I don't mean this in a condescending dickhead way, but I am amazed that that game was not ironic or sarcastic.
In terms of sincerely ending that series on the note it did.
Yes. And obviously, there's a scene in there where it's like, of course, someone's basically having a wardrobe malfunction and has half their body
Well, yeah,
showing
Anno's
off.
still a pervert.
He's still a pervert that
He's
needs
still
to
an
show
otaku who lets you know.
a female character in a state of undress while we're having this emotional heart-to-heart. That scene in particular, you know what I'm talking about,
Yes.
right?
Yes, this is the
Like-
new Evangelion. This is the last
Like-
movie.
Well, Anno, couldn't you just make a scene? Couldn't you just make the scene? Just make the scene. Why did you have to have boobs?
Because he's like you. He's an otaku.
I want to see what his... I know what it is. Like, I want to see how this Kamen Rider thing works out for him.
I want to.
Yeah.
Are you excited for Shin Ultraman?
Is it Ultraman or Kamen Rider?
Ultraman is the one that is, I believe, came out in Japan already. Shin Kamen Rider is the one that is being worked on right now. And it's just like, congratulations. You get to remake the things you liked as a child. But weird. It's great. Apparently that Netflix He-Man series isn't that bad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I hear that.
Even though Kevin Smith is involved.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Why would you... Why?
He's the showrunner.
You have Kevin Smith attached to anything.
Other than
Weed.
A podcast where he makes Star Wars jokes. I don't think I've ever seen a Kevin Smith movie.
His early works were actually legitimately good, and I have a soft spot for Chasing Amy and Clerks. And if we ever do a Deep Listens bad movie club, I'm making you guys watch Tusk.
Did you know that Corone and Lamy watched Tusk?
I heard about it.
Which was just like, I cannot believe that this is the horror movie that Corone did a watch along for.
Do you know what the full Tusk
it's
transformation looks like?
No, because it didn't seem like my thing.
Don't look it up. Don't look it up. It's
like,
great.
It's one of those things where it's just like, body horror is one of those things that I just cannot with.
So the backstory to Tusk is Kevin Smith came up with the idea of Tusk while high on his podcast. It's like, what if a guy got kidnapped and his body was transformed into a walrus, dude? And then he decided to actually make it a movie.
That sounds like something Kevin Smith would do. I'm more just entranced by the idea of VTubers watching that movie than I am the movie itself.
Did I scare you?
Yeah, you did.
You're here to find Mary, aren't you, James? Well, have you?
No. Is that why you're here too?
I'm watching my favorite
Here,
scene
isn't
of
she?
Tusk.
If you know where she is, tell me. I'm tired of walking.
I wish
I
knew.
love Tusk.
But she said it in her letter.
What letter?
Wanna read it?
Real actors
Don't tell
were in
Rachel,
Tusk,
okay?
Who's Rachel?
and
She was our nurse.
I
took it from Walker.
respect that.
He got Ben Affleck to come back for that last Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Yeah.
And at one point, he literally makes a joke about Batman v Superman while winking directly at the camera.
Yeah.
Laura, how old are you?
Ben Affleck seems like he's been through a lot.
I turned 8 last
Yeah.
He and Matt Damon wrote
Died 3 years ago.
that last Duel movie,
Could she really be here? Is
Hmm.
this
Which
the quiet, beautiful place
I'm
she was
vaguely
talking
interested in, because
Me and Mary
I
talked
I
a
took
lot
medieval
about
history
that.
class.
She even showed me all her pictures.
I like
She really wanted
Rashomon
to
style
see that.
storytelling
That's
where
why I'm here.
it's the same
Maybe
event from
today we can
multiple
see the other
multiple
one.
perspectives.
The one Mary.
I like the
figure out
choices
who's-
Matt Damon made with his haircut and beard.
Laura,
We have to figure out who's the unreliable narrator.
Yeah,
Laura,
it's got Adam Driver in it. I like him.
Gino, I typed in boat sequence, and then Gino typed bed sequence, and I don't know if it was a typo, meaning bad sequence, or he's actually going to bed and he doesn't want to join. I didn't even at him.
I mean,
I would like a bed
Gino
sequence.
and I
Can
are
we
in
have
the
a bed sequence?
Gino
we have a
and I
bed
are in
sequence?
the
Where's my bed
same
sequence?
time zone.
Can we have bed sequences in games now? Can I have a bed sequence while working?
Get off me, Bedman. Saying this as I am fighting a weird bed thing. Oh, I can probably use this to open the suitcase. You should play. Okay, if you want to talk
What?
about adventure game puzzles, I just remembered one from when I was watching during my brief Retsu Prey phase.
That's a term I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, that's one of those things that maybe we've. That's also where I watched what is it? Clock Tower Ghost Head, which came out here as Clock Tower 2.
Right.
Which is the one with the little girl who has the split personality
Yes.
and seems very bad. But I watched Dark Seed and Dark Seed 2. And Dark Seed 2 seems like a piece of work.
I've played Darkseid, and Darkseid 2 ends in a way that I would. Darkseid 2 has an ending that was very risky, and I appreciate it, but it's probably one of the worst endings I've seen in a game that I cared about a lot.
There's also just there's a red herring puzzle where it's like this clown, his medicine is sick, and you think you have to go in to the Giger world and to get his medicine, and then it turns out no, that was a fake. I don't know. That game seems bad.
Yeah.
That was also where I watched a playthrough of Harvester, which I feel like needs no explanation. I feel like Harvester speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Just, boy. Speaking of games that are trying things, they are trying things in Harvester. and that entire game.
Based off of what I saw Vinny play on the site, I don't think I want to play that.
No. Do not play Harvester. Harvest, I believe Waypoint played through the entire thing. Okay.
I also saw part of that, and it's like, this is actually distressing. I don't want to play this.
Like, that entire game is just a guy going, it's satire, and then, like, making fun of you. Like, it is that.
Yeah. Part of me wants to play I Have No Mouth and I Want to Scream, but no. I remember when Abby played that because she liked reading the book by Harlan Ellison, and it's like, I'm gonna warn you, there's a part that you should probably stop before you continue streaming. And she actually did stop before she reached that part. But she controlled the character that was a Nazi that actually did experiments on Jews, and then she also did the narcissist that becomes a horrible abomination.
Yep.
But yeah.
There are a lot of adventure games, and most of them
That are
not-
really fucked up.
that are real messed up.
Yeah.
All right, now I can use the elevator. I just think most Resident Evil games have the dignity to make their last shot areas pretty small.
Yeah.
Which is compared to here where I feel like I am
I remember this sequence. You should play I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. All right, I'll say this. The part of the game of I Have No Mouth and I Want to Scream that I am not looking forward to streaming then is the part where you control a character who was sexually assaulted. I believe she was even raped. She has to confront her rapist.
That sounds messy. I remember watching Orlando 5 on Retsupre.
Oh man.
Weird. Yeah, that's just one of those things that, like, I mean, that was one half of the people who did Retsupre are still decent people. End sentence.
The weird thing is that it's Ellen's character. Ellen's character is done rancid in the book version of I Have No Mouth, because
Harlan Ellison
Allied
hates
Master
women.
Computer, AM, in the book, Ellen is the only woman of the colony, the selected people that AM, the computer, has selected. She's the only woman, and it's all men. And she's originally chaste, maybe at best, celibate. And so AM alters her mind so as that she's desperate for sexual intercourse and deliberately makes a male have a large penis.
Oh dear.
This leads to some pretty weird scenes that Harlan Ellison put in that are only something Harlan Ellison in the 1960s would write.
Yeah, that sounds like a Harlan Ellison.
And in the video game, I think it's just she was assaulted and she has to encounter her assaulter. But yeah, there's a part where you control an actual Nazi. It's interesting.
It's
There's
heady.
some interesting puzzles in there. I think that, oddly enough, it works. Like, they don't make games like that anymore, right? And if they do, they're on, like, itch.io. And I mean that with all I mean that with the amount of condescension that came through.
Itch is a very...
It's where
it's an important
it exists
service.
for a reason. God damn it, I'm happy it exists.
I'm glad. I'm glad itch.io exists to actually, I did buy a game from itch the other day, and by that I mean a couple weeks ago. That was like a little $10 indie, like, I made this Heroes of Might and Magic-ish game on a game jam and then turned it into a real game. It's a pretty good... It's called Heroes Hour. And it's neat. It's cute. Okay, I have the employee elevator key, so I need to go to the elevator. Oh, yeah, you heard the new Disciples is good. That's good. Disciples 3 was real bad.
A disappointment.
I really like Disciples 2 in terms of being this, like, very stylish dark fantasy thing that is not just Heroes of Might and Magic. It's doing its own thing. Disciples 1, also not bad. It just doesn't have the art direction.
No, we sometimes have this joke, but do you ever wish that CRPGs had the production values of JRPGs?
I think for a while they did.
BioWare, sure.
BioWare definitely.
Bethesda on a good day when things aren't a smoldering tire fire.
Weight allowance.
Obsidian would like to convince you that they have production values, but their production values never
I need
work.
to... Gotta put all my stuff in there.
You know what's the one bad thing about like Obsidian getting their second win is I think that there's a level of look. I'm not saying I want to say this. I'm not saying that I think New Vegas is bad, but I think because the last couple of goes at a Fallout game have not been the best. I think that people thinking that the last great Fallout game was New Vegas, like you're forgetting the fact that Vegas launched like it was partially on fire.
Yep.
And I like New Vegas. I think New Vegas is a good game. I think that has the most wholly realized world a Fallout game has kind of ever had. But like parts of that game didn't work. And like they oddly needed expansion packs to build out their world. Just as much as Bethesda did.
I mean, they tried to do the small scale RPG thing again with Outer Worlds, which is a game that I continue to have
Get in chat, M. Get in chat.
strong dislike for.
Tired. In chat. Wake me up.
I am a little tired.
Before September ends. Wait, that doesn't work anymore. That doesn't work
It's
anymore.
November. Remember when January
Hey!
I don't want to be in chat.
happened? Why not?
He's almost done.
He's got like
An
an
hour.
hour left.
Yeah, I know, right? Could you play this game faster, Brayden?
I will try. My speedrun tactics are
Long
coming.
Steady beats the race? The fuck is this speedrun tactic? God damn it. You're making an 8-hour game feel like fucking Elder Scrolls. I scared off Gino when I asked him what's the difference between minestrone and pasta fazool. They're the same fucking thing. Beans, vegetables, pasta in a broth.
I don't really like beans, so I don't have either of these really.
Yeah, you know what? I respect it. I like beans, but they don't agree with me.
The
I can't
latter
believe this
is
video
often
game is making me
thicker.
get a can opener.
That's what we call brand synergy. I feel like this is my punishment for making you watch me play all of these adventure games. I'm going to see this to the
You
end.
get to watch me play this adventure game.
I can only imagine how painful it was watching me play Drowned God.
I very much zoned out after a certain point.
Remember when I had to translate something into Morse code?
Oh no.
Then I had to input it into a radio as if I was inputting actual Morse code. Dots and dashes.
That is a thing you had to do. I remember this.
Was there a visual component to make sure you
No,
did it right?
I had to click a button
Oh no.
that went beep,
You
beep,
you
beep.
literally had to do Morse code. You had to.
Then you had to hold the button on the radio within a window so as that it would actually translate into a dot or a dash. It would just...
See?
It was bad. It was one of... It might have been one of the worst things I've ever
We can
played.
talk
in my
about how you had to fight an AI.
Oh, right. So I had to play Nine Men's Morris, which is a board game from like 1,000 years ago. And the game gives you a 2,000 ranked ELO machine. that I actually mapped this out. So we played a 40 move game about. It made one blunder and it paid the machine perfect move for every single move. Meaning, in order to beat it on its default difficulty, you literally have to find the one move that it fucks up and then play the best possible move for the rest of the game. Now, Braden talked me out of not ranking that a 10 out of 10 because apparently every time you lose a piece or the opponent gets a point, it gets dumber.
Every time you
But-
lose and restart, it gets dumber.
Yes. So you're forced to lose against this AI like 8 or 9 times before it plays like a human level.
Jesus
just-
Christ.
It's a bad
It's a
bad time.
I mean, that's one way to make a AI. You just
perfect
program it to be the
machine.
best, and then make it get dumber as it goes, as people cannot overcome it.
About 9 Mans, Morris, yeah. I mean, it was like the most incoherent story I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Braden, do we even understand what the story was?
the Templars
Yeah.
The Templars
And the Men
did
in
it.
Black.
and the Men in Black.
Oh.
And aliens are responsible for every conspiracy theory. Every conspiracy theory imaginable in the 90s is true. And it was
Okay.
aliens.
Sure.
Kennedy got assassinated because he was going to tell the truth about aliens because he was losing his presidential campaign. So the government, the Men in Black, had to kill him. Also, AIDS, aliens. There's a part of the game that
Yikes.
literally says that AIDS is an alien virus.
That the government
I-
weaponized.
Yes.
Okay.
AIDS.
Sure. Yeah.
Mad cow's disease. Remember when we were all afraid of mad cow disease in the
I
90s?
do remember that.
Fucking aliens.
Fuck. I mean, that's what they abducted all those cows for.
Yep. They abducted those cows and they put them into the UK, and it was fucking alien juice.
Aliens.
I see.
Oh, and the King Arthur was real, and he was like a fucking Templar, and he was trying to fight back Morgana, who is a robot dragon, and Bahamut is a robot head. Remember when we talked to Bahamut?
You know, I try to forget these things.
You're playing Silent Hill
happened?
2.
What was the result of that?
That's a great question. There's 3 endings and they're all the same thing.
Oh.
You got the Fool Tarot card, and
If you side with the Men in Black or the Templars, they
And
basically
then you
call
play
you
a
a fool.
Persona game.
Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah. There's tarot cards that you use as items.
Uh-huh.
I got a light bulb in a can.
Use the can opener.
See, I feel like survival horror is the one area where you and I actually overlap. Because you like adventure games.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is as much of an adventure game as I can handle.
Is that a can full of light bulbs?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
Great question.
Did you have to open the can with the can opener and then there were light bulbs inside?
Yes.
Are we going to talk about that?
We didn't talk about it on the podcast.
I didn't even remember that was a thing. I didn't play this part, so I was watching it. I would have
Alright, I
definitely
gotta get all my
remarked on
shit
that.
back. Now that I can access the upper floors or whatever. There's a part in Resident Evil Code Veronica where you have to put all your stuff in a box. It's not great there either. There's also that part in BioShock where you have to fight that boss with no weapons. And so you just have to throw back his shit with telekinesis.
Uh-huh.
You played BioShock fairly recently.
I've blocked it out of my memory.
That game's fine.
It's alright.
I do think I've said this before, but I've realized that as part of my contrarian
I don't think you're a
life.
contrarian. I think
I am a
you're not
contrarian on some
right.
things.
When I think of contrarians, I think of Braden and Armand White. You got that. Anybody?
I am a slight contrarian when it comes to
Okay.
BioShock, in as much as I think my take on BioShock is a game that impressed people because they were not making games with stories for consoles.
I think that it was definitely the first FPS that people played with a story that was not just, let's give a reason to shoot the aliens or the zombies in the face.
Yeah. It was just slightly ahead of its time.
And it's Ken Levine reusing the twist from System Shock 2, like, completely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, when you play System Shock and you get to the Shodan was actually the person giving you the orders all along, plot twist, you realize that BioShock is not that revolutionary in terms of its storytelling.
No.
I think the game that I think of less.
Sure,
now
but
that
most
I've gotten
people didn't play
older,
System Shock 2, and that's why.
Yeah, is BioShock Infinite. I replayed BioShock Infinite, and it's clunky. Not just mechanically, but the whole this is about slavery shit, and then also
that was
is this about American exceptionalism?
And the girl, and
or is it about weird time shit?
Relationship stuff. It's so clunky.
Yeah,
We're making a game about slavery, but it's from a white perspective with a white author writing this script. You know who ends slavery and benefits from the end of slavery most? White people. Who's gonna end slavery? White people.
It's just that game is once you realize that game doesn't actually have anything to say about American exceptionalism and jingoism, and all of that is just a weird backdrop for, hey, look at me, I'm being meta. There's always a girl, there's always a lighthouse, am I right, bruh?
There's always weird owl robot.
And
You know they made a board game based off of BioShock Infinite?
Sure, they made a board game based on everything.
They made a board game based off of Queen's Gambit.
I still am so curious about that.
Is it just, I would be fine if it was based
Chess
on
2. They finally did it, guy. They finally made a sequel to
No,
Chess.
David Sirlin's Chess 2 already exists. Don't forget that David Sirlin, noted fighting game personality, made Chess 2.
Queen's Gambit board game.
Look it up on Board Game Geek. What's its rating?
Yeah, I'm sure it's on there.
Those people are stone cold killers when it comes
it's right
to
here. Rated 5 out of 10.
Yep. I mean, Board Game Geek doesn't fuck around.
No.
They will play your game once and then rip you apart.
Yep. Can you?
And I kind of love that
visualize chess
website.
games?
But the weird thing is Board Game Geek is oddly polite in how vicious they are. It's the components here are of a subpar quality. The meeples are made of cardboard when a better alternative would be wood. They're like that, and I love them. I love them.
They are
them for it.
okay. I was looking this up because I was playing a board game the other night. The other day, I actually played a board game with a human.
Which game?
It was called Architects of the Western Kingdom, and it is a. I had to look up the name to tell someone about it, and thankfully, Board Game Geek has a granularity of genre that is like worker placement with different worker types.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, thank you. Without Board Game Geek, I would never have known the difference. And yeah, I still think a lot about that Pro ZD video where it's Ameritrash versus Eurogames. And it's just like, roll your dice to get your final dice score. And then the European game is just like, you will be playing for victory points. After 19 real-time hours, the player with the most victory points can take the dice and put it next to their icon. It's very good. I like Pro ZD. He's a talented man.
I'm surprised at how prolific he's gotten with his voice acting.
Oh yeah, he turned what was originally a career doing Vine jokes into an actual voice acting. He is in things. He's in Borderlands
like,
3.
Things. Yeah, right? It's crazy. I wanna do that.
Alright, I have my weird smut videotape. Now I just need to... My weird snuff film. Now I just need to get the thing that lets me go to the 3rd floor so I can finish this stupid video game. I mean, this game's not stupid. I think it's well made. It's just... I made the mistake of committing to finishing this because I want to play Soul Reaver.
Just play Soul Reaver. You've already recorded the podcast.
Soul Reaver.
You mean Silent
You're
Hill?
gonna have to explain Soul Reaver.
Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver.
Yeah!
Initial release date, 1999.
Soul Reaver has probably the most metal intro. Like, the entire
The guy who did the music for that game was the front leader of the band Information Society.
Yep.
Oh, do I need to get a crank to open the shutter, or is? Because I was about to say, I thought there were no cranks in Silent Hill. That's illegal.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any cranks.
Time
They
to
heard
crank.
you coming.
You know,
Perfect.
you know the Eric Woolpaw Old Man Murray Time to Crate? For Resident Evil games, it's time to
know.
crank.
For those of you that don't know, Old Man Murray was a website run by a hand of reviewers, in particular PC game reviewers, freelancers for GameSpot, IGN, and I think GameSpy. One of the lead writers, Eric Woolpaw, went on to be the lead writer for Psychonauts 1, Portal, and Portal 2. So he's actually a good writer. But he did some of the best reviews ever, and one of his things that he posited was time to crate. You could proportionally calculate how good or bad a game would be based off of how quickly you see the first crate. As crates were, especially in the Unreal era, like Unreal Tournament era, were just like the go-to background furniture item because it showed that you cared to populate this room with at least something. So why not a 3D polygonal thing? And also, you know, crates had like health packs in them. So if I immediately see a crate in your game, that just shows you don't give a shit.
I see. I think Silent Hill throws some crates at you pretty early on. Damn, this opening slaps. by the way.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, that Information Society track is really good.
It is one of the most metal games ever.
All right, I have the Snow White box. Let's see. Videotape, I forgot it. See, I feel like I should have probably stopped when I got here, but I refuse at this point.
At this point, you're basically done. You might as well finish it off.
Listen, I don't talk to my therapist until 10 tomorrow. What else am I doing that morning? Nothing. I just feel like the difference between Silent Hill and Resident Evil is that the end sequence of Resident Evil is always a big evil lab.
Uh-huh.
And the end of Silent Hill 2 is literally just a hotel.
Are the other ones hotels for the ending?
The end of Silent Hill 1, I believe, is I think it's like a fairground. I think it's the fairgrounds. I don't remember what the end of 3 is.
Well, time to play all those ones.
How do we end the evil cult stuff in end? Silent Hill 3. Last boss. Oh right. It's in a chapel.
Okay.
Ah.
An evil cult
Yeah.
chapel.
Evil cult. Yeah, if you liked if you all y'all who liked Silent Hill 1 and 2 because of its nuance and its symbolism and its metaphor and like the horror being metaphor, you're gonna have a fun time with Silent Hill 3.
Team Silent there was internal division.
What?
There was internal division in Team Silent
Yep.
over how to do 3.
One wanted it to be metaphorical, one wanted it to be explicit.
And they did both.
Yep. And that's a problem.
Can you do both?
All right, how do I get the last puzzle box?
Play 3, you'll see why that team broke up.
I see.
But should I play the bad American-made Silent Hill games?
Is that 4 and...
No, 4 was still made by Konami. No, it's I believe Origins, Downpour, and Homecoming.
I will also defend that Wii game till the day I die.
And yeah, and Shattered Memories.
That Wii game was good.
All right. I'm just going to look up on a walkthrough now. My patience has officially grown thin.
Yeah. Did you guys know that they made the full version of Vroid Studio?
Oh.
And it's now significantly easier to make a model. don't have to also the face doesn't look. There's a plug for you.
This is not a well-written...
What are you trying to do?
I'm
Music box?
looking. I'm just looking up where the last music box is.
Which ones do you have?
I have the Cinderella and Snow White ones.
The other one is
The Little Mermaid.
yeah. Probably Control F, Little Mermaid.
It does not say. Oh wait, it's literally. Okay, it's literally on the outside of the hotel, which I would not have gotten. And then I believe we are in the ending stretch.
Yes. Then you get to watch a movie, and then watch a movie, and then fight a boss,
I love bosses.
and then fight another boss.
How are you finding Into the Breach, Em?
Literally, I started to play it. I was like, you know what, this seems like a game I could beat in under 2 hours. I'm going to try to do that and then return it. And it is not one of those games.
No.
And then I closed it.
I'm glad that Gino shares my opinion of that game.
It's fine
What-
if you like
what is-
puzzles.
I think that
What
game
is
is very
Gino's?
well made. I think that game is interesting, but also I think that game straight up does not. It's barely a tactics game.
Uh-huh.
It is a puzzle game.
If you
Yeah.
it's a strategy puzzler. If,
It's
like
a series of chess puzzles.
it's basically if Free Cell was a strategy game where there's technically one solution for the deck that you're given, and you need to find a series of cards and use them in the correct order in order to solve the game of Free Cell.
I really just don't even want to play it because that sounds so awful.
Because as a tactics person, as guy, what like you give me a square grid and you tell me to make decisions, I want chaos. I've been playing a lot of a game called Conquest of Elysium 5. Which is a no-budget game made by like 2 dudes from, I believe, Norway. They have been making these games for literally 15 years or something. And it is a game where there are no less than 17 different factions that play fairly differently from one another. Like,
Cool.
you share the same basic pool of units for the most part. But, like, the Necromancer, his whole thing is raising the dead. So you want to go to places where large battles have been and raise the dead. But here's the thing. Raising the dead makes you go insane.
Oh.
So how do you solve this problem? You have a necromancer's apprentice who does all the dead raising for you, which will give you the army you need to last long enough to turn your necromancer into a lich, at which point you will not go insane.
I see.
It's also a game where I have won multiple games of it because the AI got eliminated by the wandering monsters before I could find them. What is this game called? Conquest of Elysium 5.
What's it on?
It is on Steam.
But I just love it here.
Conquest
So
of
peaceful.
Elysium 5.
You know what I heard?
$30.
This whole area used to be a sacred
Yeah, it just came
place.
out, actually.
I think I can see why. It's
Wow,
too
this
bad we
looks
have to leave. Please
So
promise
basically
you'll
it
play
is
again, James?
it's bonkers bananas weird.
yeah.
It's just you want
If you want.
if
But
you want a strategy game that has a lot of stuff, like a lot of different play styles.
This seems like Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah.
It is not dissimilar. It is not as intense as Dwarf Fortress, though. But you can tell there's a lot of stuff going under the hood. Anyway, this is an important, pivotal part of this game.
Oh, right. Let's watch this. You know how many times I fucking watched this in the last 2 weeks? Probably.
You signed up for that.
Dominions is
Probably
even better
6
if
times.
slightly more confusing, but what other game can you be a fountain which spills blood? So yeah, Dominions is the other series that they made.
But Braden, if we need to sell deep listens on a weird strategy CRPG, we should sell them on King of Dragon Pass.
Oh, you mean Ogre Battle?
King of Dragon Pass.
King of Dragon Pass is not is. We should play King of Dragon Pass. You should.
King of Dragon Pass is. Oh no, it's this one.
It's the one that
Yeah,
you played
it's the
for the
game you
community
watched me play
endurance
for-
run.
Community
God.
Endurance Run.
Jesus.
Or was it the game you played for Extra Life last year?
No, this was Community Endurance
Okay.
Run stuff.
We should play Six Ages and King of Dragon Pass for one episode.
Mary.
6 Ages, Ride Like the Wind.
Yes.
Oh, it looks exactly the fucking
Yes,
same.
it is. It is. They made a spiritual successor. They made a sequel to the game. They kickstarted it, literally.
Literally,
16
King
years.
of Dragon Pass sold like 10,000 copies, and then he released it on Steam and iPad, and then word got out, and he's like, wait, I can finally actually make a sequel to this game that I poured my, literal decades of my life into.
Mhm.
Mary's gone. She's dead.
You know what? Good for him.
No, that's not true.
She died because she was sick.
The art kind of got better in 6 Ages.
No.
Oh, but the art in King of Dragon Pass is so good.
Yeah.
It is so 90s fantasy art.
On the Steam page, one of the first screenshots is a farming peasants who are also ducks.
Yes.
Yeah, the duck colony.
Yeah. So
Give her back to me. I knew it. You
Ducks are
can't
actually
give her
heathens, and you're not supposed to be allied with them, otherwise that will put you up against the other colonies.
Mhm.
But
Of course.
the ducks are very strong. You have to watch out.
it's very good because
Why?
the thing about King of Dragon Pass that it does that I think no
Oh,
other
shit.
game does better is just put you in this mindset that is very much not a modern
Sorry.
moral. Like, what is considered moral might not be the correct decision
No,
for this weird
isn't here.
tribal, what is it, Bronze Age, Iron Age
Uh-huh.
society. I think it's Iron Age. And it's like we gotta pray fealty to the gods. If you anger the gods, you're fucked. and
I'm sorry.
The only problem is that like once you peel away the mystique as a strategy game, it's messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like once you actually try to break down the mechanics.
Yeah, like I think the guide I read is even with optimal play, you have about a 40 to 35% chance of beating the game. And it's like everything's a coin flip.
Great.
I got all the way to trying to be the King of Dragon Pass.
That voice.
I became the king of Dragon Pass, and I got to the literal last choice I needed to make to either slaughter my cows to provide food or to let my people starve, and I didn't know if I had enough support to get through the starvation, so I slaughtered the cows, and then people rioted, and I lost.
Yeah, so basically you got to bribe the way. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now we in Silent Hill land.
Welcome to Silent Hill.
The Hill of the Silent.
And now it's raining inside.
I kind of agree with Gino. I actually think I like the movie adaptation of Silent Hill.
I do too. I want to watch it.
We should do a watch party.
I don't have
Amazon Prime
anymore. So if one of you has it, we could do it.
I don't have Amazon Prime anymore.
I have Amazon Prime.
Oh no,
Well,
my battery's
up.
broke.
Your battery broke.
Oh, I see. Everything has fallen apart. And now the map doesn't mean anything anymore.
Everything falls apart. Oh, I have human fall flat? I didn't know I have that.
So, Em, what was your first impression of Pathfinder?
I actually liked it. I wanted to play some more, but then I had 2 D&D games back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was about to start playing it, and then I was like, oh, Arbitrary Water is streaming. Let me pop in here. Then you were like, come in here.
Okay.
And then I made So once you finish the game, I might do another stream.
It's
my favorite game of this year.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, in terms of grandiose, ridiculous power creep.
Yeah.
Like, Pathfinder is already a rule set that is, like, once you get to a certain level, you become unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
And Path of the Righteous also has the mythic path stuff.
Right.
So, I picked Trickster, and one of the Trickster abilities is, you automatically get, you can basically hack your skill checks to, okay, I see it's a maze, to do things for you, so it rewards characters that are very skilled, like rogues, and I was playing as a Skald, and one of those abilities is, the level 3 version is, so you can use your persuasion skill to demoralize enemies, and that will give them stat penalties and such. And so one of the things you can do is you get an automatic check to demoralize enemies when you enter combat, and then the level 2 version of that is if they fail a will save, they are also paralyzed. And the level 3 version of that is if they fail that save, instead of being paralyzed, they have to spend their first turn doing a coup de grace action against themselves.
Jesus. Okay.
And the entire game is, like, all of the mythic stuff is like that, and you need it. Unless you pick Path of Legend.
Which one's that? Is that the one that lets you go to 40?
Yes. So the Path of the Legend is the reject divinity, become legend. Basically,
How about the path that allows you to become a swarm of bugs?
you can be a
Yeah, I
swarm.
heard about that one
You can be a
too.
swarm of bugs and eat everything.
Yep. And your friends don't like that.
No.
They
And
leave
and
if
you
pick
have
that
some
one.
Even the evil ones will leave you.
even
Yeah.
your party members who are assholes. Dayron
I don't know.
he's a piece of shit, but he's a good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, he's your dedicated healer. Like, he's the
see.
best healer in the game.
I like the concept of the healer not being a good character.
Yes. Because he is a life oracle, so he just gets ridiculous heals.
Now, I say that, but fuck Anders in Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
It's him or
Fuck
like
him. Fuck
listen,
him in
if-
his fucking face.
If you have the choice of bringing Dayron or Sociel, you know who to bring. Sociel's a nice boy. He's an actual nice boy, as opposed to Dayron, who is a hedonist and a rich asshole.
I haven't met any of these characters yet.
Okay. Yeah, you've only met the Camellia and
I've
Sela.
heard about some of them. Harley's told me about some of them.
Yep. Wenduog.
Yeah.
You're more like wife Duog.
Hey, right though.
I did romance Wenduog.
Yeah. How was that?
Oh, it's this scene. She's into kinky stuff.
Okay.
Not into kissing. And apparently I did not achieve a genuine connection with her.
Damn.
Mama!
Did you try to kiss her and she didn't like that?
No, she did
Now
not.
you're the only one left.
Okay, noted.
Maybe then
I will not make the same mistake.
I can rest.
But she's 100% better than Lan, who is a dingus.
Away.
I already sent Lan away.
Hey guys, let's just chill on these stairs that are on fire with
Yeah.
flesh, like mountains of flesh on the wall.
Listen,
Chat casually.
listen, it's just a crucified body hanging behind a
Angela,
thing of
no.
flesh.
But I'm just saying, like, shit's on fire. Maybe like run a little bit
Don't
faster.
be here. Yeah.
The fire is
Thank you for
metaphorical, it's
saving me.
fine.
It's all
Metaphorical for
metaphorical.
we gon' die.
I wish you hadn't.
Thank you for saving me, but I wish you hadn't.
Even Mama said it. I deserved what happened.
No, Angela, that's wrong.
No.
Ave Maria.
Yeah.
Sounds like Pathfinder. Yeah, sure does.
Maybe you
Yep.
think you can save
I know
him.
that this came up during
Will you
and
love
we talked
me?
about it earlier, Braden, but like
Take care of
it's
me,
really weird how
heal all my
big
pain.
deal NPCs just get basically iced in seconds.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Arishnaval,
That's what I thought.
who is a
Oh,
major
right.
character in the adventure path, yeah, they just straight up kill him off in the game, and
James.
it's
Give
oh
me
no,
back
don't
that
give her back the knife.
No.
And also there are definitely ways to permanently lose party
Save
members.
yourself.
Like if you go Lich, unsurprisingly,
Yep. That would do it.
some people might not be into that.
Never kill myself.
Makes sense.
But on the other hand, there are a couple of unique party members you get if you go Path of Lich, because you're murdering important NPCs and raising them to be your thralls.
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, that's one way to do it.
It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too.
It's hot as hell in here.
For me, It's always like this.
I do like this scene because it kind of implies that Silent Hill is different for everyone else in there.
Yeah.
But also that line delivery.
That line delivery is so bad.
Oh, I can't follow her.
Nope.
Am I doing any extra live streams? Why, yes, I am. Thank you for asking.
Create your extra life page. Did you?
I'm doing it with the Giant Bomb Discord again
Okay.
because I
Then
don't want to be
fuck you.
bothered to set up my
I'm
own
doing
page.
extra life. Here's my. I'm doing an extra life. I'm gonna put a link to my extra life. Donate to my extra life.
I will
I'm
be.
doing an extra life. Give me an extra life donation to my webpage on the web zone.
Donate to my website. Yes, I will. It depends on if my friend and I can get Hunted the Demon's Forge to work over Hamachi.
Should I do an extra life?
No. Like
No.
honestly, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But if we can't do that, then my backup is Mars Warlogs. You know, a video game that I bought for 88 cents. So yeah, it is either it's either going to be a cooperative third-person Gears of War clone. They really do.
This is where Silent Hill gets weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't weird before?
No, it was just
So, yeah.
metaphysical.
Just a reminder that Hunted the Demon's Forge is the game that In Exile made that convinced Brian Fargo that he had to crowdfund his next game.
That's why I needed you.
So they started out with the premise of, what if we made like a modern dungeon crawler? And somehow that turned into a third-person like action game with Gears of War cover, with edgy man and elf woman who is wearing scantily clad, and it's just gray. It's just a video game of entirely gray. And yeah, that's how Wasteland 2 got made.
I see.
Okay, ampoules are full of health.
It's 2011 as fuck.
Yeah, it is the most 2011 video game.
Gotcha.
Oh, I don't know.
And Joku and I are sickos. This is the guy I played Resident Evil 6 with.
Ah. I see. How was Resident Evil 6?
There are things about that game I like. It is a giant mess.
Okay. Good to know.
They're like...
There were parts of that game where it's like, this is actually kind of fun. And then there are parts of this game it's like, this is awful.
The Mercenaries mode in that game is legitimately very fun.
I like the Mercenaries mode in 4. I played that. I think that's the last Resident Evil I played.
7's real good.
Yeah.
7 and Village are real good. Wait, Em, I thought you were going to play with Village.
I was, but I didn't have the money to pick it up.
It's good. I think you would like it, but you definitely need to play 7.
I watched
enjoy
the whole thing for
Okay.
8. So.
And then 2 Remake is a personal
yeah.
favorite.
I heard that was pretty good. For a remake, it actually innovated a little bit. From what
It's
I've been
very
told.
much one of those things where they made a video game specifically for me. Oh my. many rifle shells do I have left?
Not enough.
None. It's fine. Pyramid Head won't move anymore.
Fine. It's fine. Them eggs.
Egg time.
Motherfucker, Easter in this bitch. Happy Easter, Xbox.
Oh, Relkin, you're playing RE6, huh? First half of Leon's campaign is actually alright? Yeah!
Why do they just have those?
Are you asking why the pyramid heads had eggs?
Yes.
Because puzzle.
Because... symbolism.
Like, when did they have the time to take them out and be holding them when they speared
No.
themselves under
When you
spear?
shoot the pyramid head enough times, it bursts an egg, Em. It's symbolism. This is how... So Silent Hill 2 is actually... So the egg is Jesus. That's how Jesus
Okay.
rises from the grave after he's crucified by the Romans.
In true Easter story fashion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kill the pyramid heads. You kill both pyramid heads, and then Jesus will come back and bring the end times.
Oh.
I think I'm reading that right, guys.
I don't know if
Onto
that's...
something.
That's not what I was taught in Sunday school.
Really far down on the Steam deals list. We get weird.
You don't say.
Yeah.
You know it's bad when you get
Mary?
past all of the like
James.
I brought you some
screaming.
flowers.
Why is your cat sounding like
Want
it's in
any damn
excruciating pain
flowers?
now?
Just go home
Does
already.
that?
Mary, what are you saying?
Look. I'm disgusting.
I'm
You
just
get
gonna...
things like Monster Girl Breeder.
Oh.
And,
Is that a Steam deal?
it is on. Now you could get it for.
Tell me what Monster Girl
$6.40.
Breeder is about. Are we like raising wonderful like animals in an animal shelter?
Really, the reviews they do not have models because they cannot show them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, one of those games.
Yes. That's the sort of stuff we're seeing now.
This is why
think
I
I've-
turn on the filters on Steam.
Gone too far.
So I don't
Yeah,
see
but-
bad drawn art of big titty Onesan.
But what if I'm missing something important because I have my filters
I
turned
mean,
on?
listen, I'm not gonna yuck any yums. if that's what you're into, I that's fine. Oh,
I honestly just do not know how to turn on that setting.
it is under. I think it's under preference. It's
Mary?
somewhere in preferences.
Store preferences. Nudity or sexual content. Turn that one off.
When will you ever stop making that mistake?
Some yums deserve to be yucked.
Mary's dead.
You know,
You
you're
killed
right.
her.
It's true.
Maria,
Alright, let's go back to the store and see what happened.
but I don't need you anymore.
Maybe I can
What?
actually, like,
You must be
find
joking.
things now.
But I can be yours. I'll be here for you forever. And I'll never yell
People
at
say
you
that, but some
make you
yums
feel
deserve to be
bad.
yucked. I mean,
That's
yes.
what you wanted. I'm different than Mary. How can you throw me away?
Oh no, 202 titles, including Mass Effect
understand.
Legendary Edition,
It's time
have
to
been
end this
excluded
night.
based on your preferences.
Oh, you went too
Mass
hard.
Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
You deserve to die too, James.
See, I'm missing things.
I mean, do you really need to bone that blue alien?
Again. But Liara, best girl.
I mean, that's...
Oh, wait.
I was Team Tolly. I was Team Tolly all the way.
I romanced Miranda.
Ew, you romanced the racist?
No, Miranda, not
Oh.
Ashley. Miranda's the one with the booty.
Oh,
She's
so
in
you...
too.
She's problematic too.
Yes.
have a
Oh,
map
you
of
mean a
it.
perfect human? Like, genetically perfect human?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, always leave... In what I consider to be my canon playthrough, Ashley 100% got deaded.
Oh,
So, yeah, I romanced Ashley and then immediately asked her to die for me. And then I went into because I knew they were gonna make a Mass Effect 2, so it's like, you know, I'm not gonna remain loyal, so I might as well go into Mass Effect 2 with no, like, free to romance whoever I want. I want to romance the weird
wanna
alien
be
dude
tied
with
down.
cancer. Sure, let's go. I want to romance Garrus, because, you know, I'm boring like that. Sure.
As long as you aren't the person who romanced, what's her bucket? Jacob. If you romance Jacob, he freaking cheats on you with Mass Effect 3. Mr. Milquetoast himself. Did I kill my wife? Metaphorically.
James.
Now I did. Yeah, Jacob cheats on you. If you romanced him.
Mary?
Jacob's loyalty mission is at least good.
James.
Forgive me.
I told you that I wanted to die, James. I wanted the pain to end.
Alright. I finally finished this game. I can play Soul Reaver now.
That's why I
You
did
want to
it,
play
honey.
Soul Reaver now?
I just
I
couldn't.
mean,
Well,
not
maybe
right now.
tomorrow. Make
I'm
your
going to go to
vegetables.
bed.
No.
But
You can come watch me stream.
not
I might
another
watch
2
M
hours.
stream
You also
Pathfinder
said you
for a
didn't
little bit.
lie.
Although I don't know
Truth
if
is, I hated
Harley
you.
will be mad if
I
I
wanted you out of the way.
stream it without him.
I wanted my life back.
Is he your friend who was very into this? Your roommate?
Yeah.
James,
Yeah.
Okay.
if that were true,
He his
Why would he
laptop
look so
like
sad?
battery kind of exploded,
Mm.
so he hasn't been able to play any of his video games
Mm.
because it will overclock the new battery that we got.
please.
So
I love it.
he is living vicariously
do
through me
something for
until he gets his monitor for his new computer, which is
Hmm.
Daisy's
on
old
with your life.
computer.
Okay, it looks like I got the leave ending.
Yay! You
Which
get to
is
go
nice.
home.
I found redemption in Silent Hill instead of
In my restless dreams,
I found a rock.
I see that.
I found a
temple,
rock.
Silent Hill.
Okay, well, I'm glad after
promised
owning
you'd
this
take
game
me
for
there
like
again
10
soon.
years,
But you never
I
did.
finally beat it.
What's the next game you want to finish out
I'm
of
alone
obligation
there
because
now.
you've owned it for 10 years?
In our special place.
Suikoden.
Oh, right, we
Waiting
have
for
to play
you.
Suikoden. Are we doing 2 episodes or 1 on Suikoden?
for you to
I feel like
come see
Suikoden
me.
we could do in one, but I'm not adverse to two.
But you never do.
It's not a very long game. And the story is
So I
pretty
wait.
JRPG.
Wrapped in my cocoon of
Do you know what?
pain
Do you know what Jeff is gonna pick
loneliness.
next?
He's threatened
I
Ogre
know
Battle,
what
which
that
I'm all
is
for.
everything to you. Something you never
You
forget.
assholes.
Okay, so
I wish I could.
Which
Oh.
ogre battle?
Ogre Battle is the Enix series that is like an RPG.
No, I mean, is
So
this
pathetic and
Ogre Battle
ugly
64 March of the
me.
Black Queen?
I think
Waiting
Jeff
for
said
you.
64 because he got it from his
Every
local
day I
library like
stare
a
up at the
weirdo.
cracks in the ceiling. All
Uh,
I
um,
think about
I'm gonna play the
is
Switch
how
version of this because I
unfair
just,
all is.
or not the Switch version, the Wii U version.
I have it on Wii U.
The doctor
I
came
bought
today.
it on Wii U.
He told me I could go
It
home
It
for
hasn't
a
been
short
made
stay.
available on Switch because the Wii U
It's
Virtual
not that I'm getting
Console
better.
is
It's
not
still
entirely
the-
backward compatible
This
on
may be
Switch
my
because
last
The
it's
chance.
bullshit.
The N64 offerings on the Switch are a hot mess right now, and I'm not paying an extra $25 a year
Even
to
so,
play badly emulated
I'm glad that
versions
it's
of
coming
games
out.
I literally own.
And you know what?
Missed
The
you
weird thing is like
terribly.
Ogre Battle 64, because of its rarity, is pretty well emulated.
I'm free,
Yeah.
James.
And
There are
also,
versions of
ZP,
64
one
that are
of
out
the
there.
benefits
Come
of emulating that game is you can just turn on turbo mode whenever it slows
I
down.
can tell how hard it is on you.
You're right. I might actually play.
I
I
don't
think
know. if you
64 is
hate
actually
me or
shorter than
pity me.
March of the Black Queen.
Because I was gonna
maybe
pick
I
that, but then you said I want a short game, so we picked Suikoden.
Shush, shush, shush.
sorry
You
about
wanted to
that.
play Suikoden.
I do want to play
anyways.
Suikoden. Admittedly,
First learned that I
it
was
is a springboard to play
going to
Suikoden
die.
2, which is
I
the
just
one that
didn't
everyone
want to
likes.
accept it.
I like how we recreated this series
was
because
so
we felt like
angry all the
CRPGs were
time.
underrepresented on the main podcast, and we've done
struck out
nothing
at
but play
everyone I loved
JRPGs.
most.
Yes.
Especially you, James.
I
mean,
think
whose
part of
fault
that
is
is
that?
because I have played most. Like, if
That's
we're talking
why
about a survey of
I understand if you
CRPGs, I
do
have played
hate me.
most of the big, important ones from the 90s and late 90s, early 2000s.
James.
Except for the ones I play for my feature,
Love you.
the Wheel of Dubious RPGs.
Even though our life together had to end like this,
I do
I
appreciate
wouldn't trade it.
this ending.
world.
Just nice closure.
Had some
But I
wonderful
also
years
think the
together.
other endings are better because they're more fucked.
Well,
Just
this letter's gone on too long,
James
so
Sunderland is
I'll say goodbye.
is a creep.
James
Yeah.
Sunderland
I
does
told
not
the nurse
deserve
to give this to
happiness.
you after I'm gone.
But I got the ending where he is, where
That
he
means that
gets a
as
second
you
chance
leave,
at
Yes,
life.
but- Yay.
I'm already
He's a
dead.
murderer.
Nobody
I
can
can't
prove
tell
that.
You, to remember
You can
me,
turn off attack animation for Ogre Battle 64, FYI.
but I can't
Okay.
bear for you to forget.
That's good to know. And I think by the time we get there,
These
I will
last few
probably be in
years
a
since I
better,
became
like,
ill,
I will not be swamped with
I'm
homework.
So sorry for what I
So,
did to you.
I think it will be a better time if Jeff picks
did
it
to
in, like,
us.
December or
You've given me
January.
so much, and I haven't been able to return a single thing. That's why I want you to live for yourself now.
But yeah, you're right. We need to. At some point, I want to make
Do
you
what's best
both
for
play Might and
you,
Magic 6
James.
or 7.
James,
Because
Might
that is a
Magic.
personal fave of mine.
you made me happy.
Old school.
Might and Magic 6 is one of those great games that has 3D environments, but all the enemies are 2D sprites.
Classic.
And so it can display a lot of them on screen at once. And so it's you against hordes of identical goblin sprites. And also
Hell
at the
yeah.
end of that game, your team of knights and wizards and clerics, you get laser guns.
Fuck yeah.
And laser guns are suitably overpowered. because you can just hold down the A key and shoot a constant stream of lasers.
I see.
It's very good. But that game's also very long, which is why I would not suggest doing a podcast on it.
How long is it?
I think it's like 60 hours minimum.
Jesus.
All right.
I want
All
shorter
right.
games.
Well,
All right, I got
All
leave. I got 5 hours. My rank 4 stars. Okay.
Is it 4 stars or is it all those stars underneath it?
I don't know.
Good stuff. You did the
All
thing.
right. I did the thing. I beat the video game.
the
Thank you
video
everyone
game's
for
been
watching.
slain. Yay!
Alright, hold on. I'll queue up my stream and then you can.
I can raid.
Raid
All right,
me.
I'm gonna raid M stream.
I'm gonna just disconnect and like get ready for tomorrow.
I think I might
If
also
I,
get
if I
ready
have
for
time
bed.
to tune in, I will.
But
anyway.
Anyways. You guys.
Bye.
Bye. How can you sit there? This town is full of monsters. How can you sit there just eating pizza?
There's always time for pizza.